our live broadcast. It is still the 17th day of the month of June 2024. It's coming up to almost 11:35 from London, where this transmission is coming from. My name is OLAYOMI KOIKI. Let us discuss again, and let us talk about more reasons why the Yoruba needs to get the hell out of Nigeria before it is too late. Mo kí gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá nílé lóko pé a kú ìsinmi tí ó lọ ní wíkẹ́ndì yìí. A dẹ̀ kú gbogbo ẹ̀ bó ṣe ń lọ nílé. Bẹ́ẹ̀ náà ni gbogbo wa ṣe ń rí. Mo kí ọba Elédùmarè tí ó fún wa lẹ́mìí gígùn àtàlàáfíà tí a fi ń ṣe. Mo kí àwọn mọ̀lẹ́bí tí wọ́n dúró tì wá àti ẹ̀yin ọ̀rẹ́. Mo kí bàbá wa Professor Adébánjí Akíntóyè, the leader of the Yoruba self-determination. Mo kí Ọ̀túnba Adémọ́lá. Mo kí Dr. Chief Sunday Ọmọ Adéyẹmọ Ìgbòho Òòṣà. Mo dẹ̀ kí family mi. Mo kí ìyá tó bí mi lọ́mọ. Mo kí gbogbo yín pé ṣé dáadáa ni àtúnláǹfààní àti ìpàdé ara wa. Gbogbo àkígbà tá a bá ń jáde nínú ọlá, nínú ẹ̀mí gígùn náà la máa fi ríra wa. Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ọmọ Yorùbá tí wọ́n ṣì ń rò pé ìlú kan wà tó ń pè ní Nàìjíríà, bó bá yá bó bá pẹ́, olúkálùkù wa máa mọ̀ pé kò sí nǹkan kan tó ń pè ní Nàìjíríà, kò dẹ̀ ní àṣeyọrí kankan tó lè ṣe. Bóhùn ẹ̀ kò gbàdúrà látẹ̀ní sọ́la, Nàìjíríà ò lè ṣiṣẹ́. Ìlú tó ti ń slide into anarchy and it's gonna collapse. Security is a big threat, and many Yoruba people will die if you continue to believe in that shit. Mo kí gbogbo yín pé ẹ kálẹ́ o níbikíbi tí ẹ bá ti ń gbọ́ mi. Mo kí wa pé a kú àlàjọ ọdún náà. Ọlọ́run jẹ́ kí a túbọ̀ lè ṣe ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ẹ̀ láyé. Èmi náà ni wọ́n ń pè ní OLAYOMI KOIKI tí gbogbo yín mọ̀ sí Koikimedia. Mo kí Idris Abdulkareem fún èyí tí ó sọ òkodo ọ̀rọ̀ sáwọn òṣèlú àtàwọn pásítọ̀ àti àwọn tó yẹ kó gbóhùn sókè tí wọ́n sọ̀rọ̀. Mo ń bọ̀ mo ti dé.
Lucrative business in Nigeria. Imagine saying your grandchildren where they kidnap. Right now, your soldiers for those scatter Nigeria. How common man won't get money for ransom when they kidnap him, his wife and his children? After everything, now they will kill them. See, as Naira, they fall against dollar. Emiluko, don't turn to Emiluko. And you say make we sacrifice for Nigeria. 7 billion to renovate your residence. 15 billion for your traveling allowance. That's not for you and your only vice president. 40 billion for Asurok maintenance. 5 billion for food and refreshment. 100 of millions for dogs and animals. Meanwhile, hunger they kill Nigerians. What did Nigerians do to warrant this treatment? Even Gary, they don't be afford for the family. Government blame Buhari. Buhari government blame Jonathan. Hunger they people they die. This one don't pass jaga jaga. Jaga government. Why didn't you help Buhari to solve the problem? Debt under Buhari, 77 trillion. No proof of any positive transformation. Unborn children ain't go pay for this evil. You know, say Buhari was incompetent, but you still bring up to destroy Nigeria. Party government, now you are the president. Since Buhari don't destroy Nigeria, I hope say you go bring up to judgment. Emefiele printed 23 trillion within 8 years under Buhari government. $6 million for election observers. They say somebody forged Buhari's signature. Now lie, Buhari signed that document, period. Where our refineries, we will not promise to fix. I mean, that go to refineries would depend on how.
Well, that is Idris Abdulkareem. Almost the same thing that we've been saying, but we appreciate him for being honest and speaking the truth to the power. It doesn't matter whoever is in power, whether Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa, Nobody can fix Nigeria. If you like, pray from now till thy kingdom come. Many of you are just wasting your time. Let's start with the anthem, and then we go slowly. It's been a long weekend, and then we don't give a toss at the suffering teller. So we'll just continue the push and we'll continue the discussion until the country will finally break up. Don't ask me when. I don't care. So tell it, when we were pushing, most of you were pushing back. So anything about kò jẹ pa, kò wá alternative láti survive. Tó bá lè japa kò japa, èmi náà japa ní 24 years ago ni. Ọmọ òde wà dìde, bọ́ sí ipò ẹ̀tọ́ rẹ, ìwọ ni ìmọ́lẹ̀ ògo adúláwọ̀. Ìwọ ni ìmọ́lẹ̀ ògo adúláwọ̀. Mo kí Professor Adébánjí Akíntóyè pé a dúpẹ́ fún yín for coming out at a very, very important part in the history of Yoruba people. I can just imagine tí Bàbá Akíntóyè ò bá jáde, we will have all kind of different Yoruba leaders tí wọ́n ti mú nínú Nàìjíríà tó ti fi ṣe ọrọ̀ ajé, and they've benefited so much out of Nigeria, and a lot of them are still benefiting as we speak today. And they've told lies for a very long time. Mo kí gbogbo ẹ̀yin tí ẹ ń darapọ̀ mọ́ wa. Ẹ má yẹ ká fi orúkọ máa bẹ̀rẹ̀ program. Let's just go straight into it, because Yoruba nation ṣe ta máa wá, ta kọ̀ máa rẹ́rìn, ta máa. Sometimes, you know, it's so painful that Tabafi Shawada, you know. I was watching Liz Anjorin about an hour ago, just to while away the time. I was watching a Yoruba movie, Ìyàwó Mi Ló Ń Wò. I just sat down there. So, but when we're here, we're serious. You know, there's so many platforms that you can go on. Platform Kwawa or Okwato Bolomanso, Ìyàwó Mi ti gbọ́ Christian program 72 hours. Èmi náà bá wọn ṣe prayer yẹn. Kódà mo tẹ̀ ń bí pé ṣe bọ́ ti parí ẹ̀. Olúwa sọ fún mi pé tó bá parí ẹ̀ ó tún máa ń lọ sí orí òkè. So there's so many programs that you can go and watch. Kò ń ṣe dandan ní kẹ́ jókòó sí bíbá. We're not begging anybody. Tẹ́lẹ̀ la máa ń bẹ̀yìn pé we're not begging anybody. In tó máa jẹ́ kólúkálukú beg, tẹ́ máa wá beg Ìgbòho àti Bàbá Akíntóyè àti gbogbo àwọn ọmọ Yorùbá ó ń súnmọ́ bọ̀ díẹ̀díẹ̀. So ẹ má bẹ̀ anybody pé kó darapọ̀ mọ́ Yorùbá nation, kó bá wọn kó má darapọ̀ mọ́. In tó máa ná everybody pa, ó ti wà nù Nàìjíríà already. So program oríṣiríṣi ló wà. So bọ̀ mo kí gbogbo ẹ̀yin àgbàlagbà àtẹ̀yin ọmọdé. Ọlọ́run jẹ́ kí èmi jọra mi lójú. Happy birthday to you. Pẹ̀lú gbogbo àwọn tó ń celebrate lẹ́ni. But one thing we have said clearly is that we just want to go. But ẹ prefer tó bá jẹ́ pé àwọn òyìnbó ló bá jókòó nísìn ló ń sọ̀rọ̀ fún yín pé Nàìjíríà ò ṣiṣẹ́. You will take that and you will work with that, you will run with that. Happy birthday to many of you that are celebrating in the month of June. So, péyàn kan ṣe máa sọ pé wọ́n ti pààyàn kan, ọmọ Igbo kan ní last week kan ni. We saw it on my status mi títí. A rí bó ṣe ṣiṣẹ́, bó ṣe ṣe damage fún. So the crime is not going to stop because the agenda is to make sure that ilẹ̀ Yorùbá ò ní tòrò. That is the agenda. Àwọn òde ló ń lò, àwọn tiwa náà ló ń lò. So they're making use of our people, the politicians. I don't blame the masses that have been kept in a very, very dark world. It's just that it's unfortunate that the masses are in cahoots with the mess. And what do I mean by that? When we came out some few years back, we were like the obstacle to their progress. Bitori wọ́n wà ní UK ló ṣe ń sọ̀rọ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀. Mo ní wọ́n tí parent ò bá rí foresight tí parent tèmi rí ní tó fi mímí wá sí. Don't blame me for that. Don't hold me responsible for that. Your parent or whoever your own guardian should be held responsible for that because my mom saw the progress that the country was going nowhere some 24 years ago. Ó dẹ̀ hàn pé tí bá bímọ sínú Nàìjíríà, probability wà pé a máa jọ struggle. Òun á máa struggle, èmi náà máa struggle. Kò ń ṣe pé àwọn kan wọ́n gbìyànjú, but kò lè débì kankan. Ẹni tó ní gan kariwo, ṣebí èèyàn kan náà jí gbé ní Lagos State. So 3 years ago, a lot of you saw us as the real enemy. So that sometimes give people like me concern. How do we become the enemies? And like I always say, don't ever tell me to speak in Yoruba because as much as I've left Nigeria 24 years ago, I still try to maintain my culture, which is Yoruba. And I'm not talking to you alone. I have a lot of audience that are watching from around the world. And sometimes they might not understand the Yoruba, but wọ́n mọ̀ pé nǹkan tá à ń jà fún àbí nǹkan tá à ń sọ. Tó bá yẹ pé mi mo ní kẹ́ fún wa lówó nísìnyí fún wa. To access the New York Times website, you have to pay. Kò ń ṣọ̀fẹ́. It's telling me straight up pé látẹ̀ tí kọ́kọ́ wọnú website àwọn. That is how proud. Ọlọ́run jẹ́ káwa jọra wa lójú, like I said. But that is how proud the New York Times. But nítorí pé ṣèbí Koiki ni, ṣèbí inú ilé ẹ̀ ló ti ń sọ̀rọ̀. Kò ń ṣe that big studio bí BBC, bí channels, bí Arise. I'm watching Arise. Mo ti rójú bàbá yẹn dáadáa nísìn, and I'll play that later. I'm watching it on my 60-inch. Mo pause ẹ̀. Bàbá tó draft bill yẹn Fápóhùndà, òun ló ń sọ̀rọ̀ lórí Arise, and I think this was probably in the morning, Loshe. Okay, 1 day ago. So this was yesterday. Nigeria will be in trouble in 2027 if restructuring is not prioritized. We'll see if I can play a little bit out of it. So, the way I pay my money, if I want only £2 get to access the Koikimedia website. Ṣèbẹ́lẹ́ máa sọ fún mi pé kí n get out. Pé kí ló dé tí mò ń béèrè owó lọ́wọ́ yín. Because the platform to some is the voice, but to millions of people is not the voice. You're not expecting this to be the voice. So I want to get voice in ilé, you will suffer. But in Tokoti built in Lara Tawani pé, my wife keep asking me pé mo ṣe program in the last couple of days. Pé ṣé kò sí. Because she knows that team by teach jáde gan is like something is not yet concluded in my part of the day. And that is why sometimes I do follow me lórí platform that don't ṣe in and out. Everybody man short video, especially as I was going to Alata's place yesterday. gbogbo tí mo ń ṣe lánàá yẹn, but I just decided not to do it live, but at least kò sẹ́ni tó ń follow platform wa, and I have 3 YouTube channel. Ìkan wà is a pure English, and I have the backup. The English one, I don't go live on it because only I want target audience, and I'm already getting that traction. But mo kọ́kọ́ gbọ́dọ̀ gbé wọn wọlé kí tó wá jẹ́ kó mọ tá à ń jà fún. But tí bá bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí sọ pé Yorùbá ẹlòmíràn pé, but when you start showing London, they love the London bosses. I don't know what is wrong with the London bosses. So that platform, àti bí àwọn yẹn wá, ẹ bá wa lọ subscribe or subscribe, that's fine. That jẹ́ pé Koiki ni, dẹ̀ ní kẹ́ sanwó kẹ́ tó subscribe. But New York Times, tí mo fẹ́ lo reference wọn lálẹ́ yìí, kí n tó lè access the website wọn, is asking me to pay £2. Discover, enjoy unlimited access of the Times. If you're already a subscriber, you can log in. But if you don't subscribe, the same £2 here, or $2, well, £2. About the £8 more, only come out some from YSDM every month. It's not a lot. It be for it's not £7.20. I think I spent £7.20. Yeah. Ìyàwó mi tẹ máa ní kí n rántí mú receipt yẹn wá kóun lè bá mi gba point. Ẹ máa pa àwọn ìyàwó àwọn like point based kìíní ẹ̀. I think it's £7.20. Coffee tí mo rà àti meal deal, the whole package £7.20. Ṣé £10 máa wá pọ̀ jù láti dá sí ìrìn àjò Yorùbá nation? So we have asked people to pay láti fi ṣe ìrìn àjò yìí, because don't expect any politician to give us money. Àfẹ́ mo dúpẹ́ fún gbogbo ẹ̀yin tí ẹ mọ nígbà àyà pé ẹ̀tọ́ yín ni nísìn pé wọ́n ti ní kọ́ lọ máa dá mẹ́wàá ọ̀ràn míyàn àdẹ̀mọ́ máa dá. But àwọn kan wà tí, thank you so much everyone that have joined. Peter Pan Muke. Àwọn kan wà, it's like pé wọ́n fẹ́ ká bí àwọn kan tó lọ dáwó yẹn. We're not going to beg anybody. No. New York Times, before I go into the discussion, mo kàn fẹ́ kẹ́ mọ̀ the importance of how money is to operate in everything you want to do. Ṣé a máa sọ pé New York Times ò lówó lọ́wọ́? Wọ́n lówó, but one need more money to be able to do more. So they are telling me that I can get it 7 days free, but lẹ́yìn 7 days yẹn, lẹ́yìn ọjọ́ méje, mo máa san pọ́n méjì. Tàbá dẹ̀ wo pounds lẹ́yìn nísìn, I think it's about 1,009. So that's about 4,000 naira. So ẹni tó ní kó san 10 naira nílé, ó gbọ́dọ̀ sọ pé ó ní 10 naira. Àwa tó ní ká san $10, a gbọ́dọ̀ sọ pé à ní. Tá a bá mọ bá ṣe fẹ́ ṣe, ó yàtọ̀ sí pé ká sọ pé à ní. Because what we are fighting for is the final solution. I want us to be very careful, when it comes to Biafra. And tomorrow. And I don't want to block you. I understand, the word and Biafra. British created this mess. Tó bá kó gbogbo àpapọ̀, àní wà níbi tá wà pẹ̀lú wọn. Ráwọn kan tó máa ń send message sí mi kí n sọ̀rọ̀ less nípa Biafra. Kò sí bàbá ńlá ẹni tó lè sọ bẹ́ẹ̀ pé kí n sọ̀rọ̀ less nípa Biafra. Platform mi ni now. They want to go, let them go. It's as simple as that. So let us be very careful, please. We hate each other. We are not one. The British local Wapapo. The British Wapapo. We are not going to be together. Àwọn England wà ní Germany nìsín wọ́n jà lánàá àwọn àtàwọn Serbia. So there will always be hatred and bigotry among people around the world. Ìdí tí English àti àwọn Serbia dé ṣe ń jà máa sọ fún yín. Serbia support Russia. England support Ukraine. Àwọn méjèèjì dẹ̀ jọ ń gba tournament. So you can expect the tension on the pitch. So when it comes to the Igbos, let's just leave it. Kò sí bá ṣe lè nífẹ̀ẹ́ wọn, definitely. Everybody has an agenda. Bẹ́ẹ̀ náà ṣe lájẹ̀ndà làwọn náà lájẹ̀ndà. So kí àkàn máa sọ pé bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe lájẹ̀ndà làwọn náà lájẹ̀ndà. Olúkálùkù wa la lájẹ̀ndà. But for the fact that to control that, ṣebí àná la ṣe ń sọ pé ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ń bú wọn, ẹ̀yin tẹ́ wà against wọn, support this movement so that we can push and knock everything off. And we set up a system that works for every one of us, especially to my favor our against them. Àfẹ́ni tó bá wá ní citizenship. The English are very upset with us. We can see what is happening in Europe. The left wing are becoming more powerful. Kí lẹ rò pé Macron fi pé a snap election? He lost at the European Parliament. They lost woefully. His party lost. So one ní same alongside yẹn pé. So let us be very careful, please. I'm not saying you shouldn't, I'm not restricting anybody not to have anything against them. But let's just focus on our journey. Tawanika focus le lórí. And ṣe àwọn iṣẹ́ àwọn politicians àwọn Peter Obi nǹkankan. Àwa tá à ń ṣe movement. Ẹ má wà against àwọn Biafra tó fẹ́ lọ. Just leave them. Just leave them. They want to go, let them go. Don't be against them. Because agenda tí wọ́n ní pé àwọn fẹ́ lọ, tó bá dé lọ, agenda tí wọ́n ní pé wọ́n fi gbalẹ̀ wa. That's the worst case scenario tẹ́ máa sọ. Bẹ́ẹ̀ náà bá láǹfààní ẹ̀ lè lọ gbalẹ̀ wọn náà. So New York Times, a very powerful platform. Platform tó máa sọ̀rọ̀. New York Times. Ọlọ́run jẹ́ káwa náà tó bẹ́ẹ̀ ká jù bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ in the near future. Bí New York Times bá sọ̀rọ̀ nísìn, tí big government náà dá lágbàáyé, ó gbọ́dọ̀ respond ni. That is the power of the media that many people know, but we are waiting for another media platform láti wá sọ̀rọ̀ nípa wa. To them, I favor. What are you making? For me as well. No sugar, please. Thanks. Why are we going to talk about New York Times? Kí ni reasons mo ṣe mẹ́nu bà New York Times? Èèyàn mélòó ló mọ New York Times? Let me first ask. I'm not talking to the diaspora now. Àwọn tó wà Nigeria. How many of you have heard about New York Times? Tẹ́ bá wà ní Nigeria, ẹ kọ confirm. How many of you have heard about the New York Times? The New York Times. I am not talking to the diaspora now. I just want to gauge those at home, not the diaspora. Those in Nigeria. How many of you knows New York Times? Let's just get a background of the New York Times. A background. The New York Times Okay. You see, Emma Fishe, this is a platform that we are all learning. I won't go into the private discussion, but wife means me in, and I told her that come on, she mistake more. Well, it's nothing wrong. I can also share it, especially for the benefit of our tower in the UK. If you're living in the UK, you're waiting for the train at the platform. Your best bet is not to stay at the back, at the end of the train. Your best bet is to stay in between. And you know why? Because sometimes the last door in Konishi, but any to lórí platform, you will not be told. Any to one in Ule Loma Sofun. There's a train pulling into the platform. And I don't know whether it's the same thing in Europe. Sometimes those platforms might be shut, and sometimes for a reason known, the last door might not open. So my wife got caught up, in between staying at the back, and she actually missed the train. Now she has to wait for another 20 minutes for the next train to come through. Everything has a time. The time push Yoruba Nation is the best time to make it work. And that is the reason why I said, if we're discussing anything here, I am learning. I read comments. If I want to respond to your comment, I will. If I don't want to respond, I'll just look away. Doesn't mean that I've lived here for 24 years, I know everything. Make sure I am also engaging myself, especially this is today's paper, as you can see there. So, and we learned a lot. So let me just give us a background of this platform called the New York Times. Because only Kokontoko Nipa Nigeria, and like I said, is a platform that, yes, Toba Soro, Otisi government not like by Obodo respond lesekese. All right? Because these are platforms that are sending signal. We need them to talk about Yoruba Nation, but they're not going to do that now until the movement enter a kind of a new phase. And whatever that phase is, I don't know, but everybody knows what I'm talking about. Don't ask me to explain further. They're not going to talk about it, but they will continue to talk about the country itself, in Nigeria, which is what I'm going to talk about from the beginning of this conversation. Yes, I've been, I think the last broadcast was on Friday. I just decided to take a bit of time off. And I was spending a good time with my cousin Walata yesterday. This is a country that sometimes you don't see people. I mean, I see Walata, he comes here frequently, like I always say to you. Muki Baba Victor, the last time I saw Victor, I call him Baba Victor. He was in the rally. Koda, in the rally, I was shocked. Because Elomi Watae Yoruba Nation, they decided to cut away from me. I want to come in the background. Sorry, I go see that. I want to come in the background. Tó bá yẹ wàá pariwo títí wàá lọ dákẹ́. Ọ̀rọ̀ àwọn lọ́bì kọ̀ọ̀kan Nàìjíríà ló máa padà pín, whether spiritually, whether physically, whether through anarchy, whatever it means, ó gbọ́dọ̀ pín, because it is no longer working. That is why Mr. Fakponda stated, even though we are not for restructuring, that Nigeria will be in trouble. Everybody can feel it. But I saw Baba Victor yesterday. The last time, like I said, I saw him was probably the rally Tashi in the UK, which about 2 years ago. When I saw him at the rally, I was so happy. But the wife, the last time I saw the wife, Nilu Itajongbe, was 8 years ago. So it was good to see them yesterday, and another very close friend of ours. So I spent time with Walata and Moki, even though my wife was not very happy that, I told her late, but, Kọ́lọ́run kó ṣàánú pẹ̀lú iṣẹ́ tá gbé dání. Kódà tó bá yẹn pé Walata gan rán mi létí ní ìjọ Friday tó pè mí, no, Saturday, lálẹ́ mo tẹ̀ tí ń sùn lọ pé bàbá ṣé mo gbàgbé lọ́la, mo ní kí ló ń ṣẹlẹ̀ lọ́la, ó ní mo ti gbàgbé nìyẹn o, Yorùbá nation ti pọ̀ jù. And we talked about Yoruba nation in there as well, but there was no need for us to come live. So coming back to the New York Times, before we move swiftly, 6 minutes past midnight at 18th. Time kan náà la jọ ń lò pẹ̀lú Nigeria. Winter nìkan ni a máa wà 1 hour ahead. The New York Times is an American daily newspaper. So newspaper ni, but newspaper yẹn, it has 10 million new subscribers as at 2024 in circulation. You can imagine why people have to pay láti lọ kà nǹkan tó ń kọ sínú ẹ̀. Ó dàbí nísìnyí kí n sọ fún yín pé kẹ́ tó wò mí nísìnyí kẹ́ sanwó bí Netflix. You have to pay to have a Netflix. Tó bá lò àfi tó bá yẹ kó fẹ́ crack ẹ̀, and you are going into trouble with the secure, with your, whatever country you are, because tó bá mú ẹ. New York Times was founded. Mo fẹ́ kẹ́ mú date dání. You see, tá bá ń sọ̀rọ̀ lórí platform wa níbí báyìí, mi máa ń like date at a year because it helps you to understand that ṣé Nàìjíríà tí a wá ń fẹ́ para wa fún nísìn fáwọn tó fẹ́ Nàìjíríà tó àwọn ò fẹ́ Nàìjíríà o. Fẹ́ Nàìjíríà. And I'm being honest now. We don't want Nigeria. Nigeria ti ṣe jàǹbá tó pọ̀ fún wa gan jù pé ká náà fẹ́ Nàìjíríà lọ. Whether in the north, whether in the south. Okay, mi àti Baba Victor ìyàwó à ń sọ̀rọ̀. Òun mọ ìyàwó ẹ̀ mọ Jos dáadáa. Nígbà tí mo sọ pé potato lè grow ní Plateau. Ó níbẹ̀ gangan ló ti ń grow ní potato. Mo fẹ́ kẹ́ mú date dání. The New York Times was founded. I'm not going to tell you to tell me when. Kama stress the brain arawa. It was founded in September. Ekosile. September 18, 1851. Ṣé tí mo bí tí mo fẹ́ lọ? Ta ló lè guess ibi tí mo fẹ́ líǹkì paper yìí mọ́? That was 172 years ago. Kò ń ṣọ̀rọ̀ pé wọ́n ti dá Nàìjíríà sílẹ̀. Ẹ jẹ́ ká mú lọ sí nígbà wo ni wọ́n ní Yorùbá dá newspaper sílẹ̀ in the whole of Africa. Ta ló rántí yí ẹ̀yẹn? Mo rántí mọ́, but mo fẹ́ òbí ẹ̀yàn kan rántí tó lè help me out. Ẹ rántí pé máa ní dá newspaper tiwa náà sílẹ̀. Year wo 1850 kò ní bàjẹ́ fún ìyá mi Ọlájírè Kóka. Ẹ túbọ̀ pẹ́ fún wa. Mo kí gbogbo yín tẹ́ wá nílé. Ṣé rí reason tí àwa kan máa ń pé ó kọ̀ ẹ́ pé bàbá ta tẹ̀lé ó ní èèyàn ọmọ mi ó ní ọ̀rọ̀ yóò ń ṣèjà but ẹ̀tọ́ yẹn a gbọ́dọ̀ gbà. Kò bá pè mí kí n wá gbé. Pẹ̀lẹ́. Ẹ gbọ́ mi yé. Ṣé mọ̀ pé paper Yorùbá ó wà ahead of paper táwọn pè ní New York Times. So who is fooling who? Ṣé reason tí mo ṣe máa ń fi wá lọ sí numbers because kí ló ń pè ní numbers? Kò sí nǹkan kan tó fi ṣe láyé lénìí tó ń lo tó ní lo numbers ta ló agree pẹ̀lú mi ta ló ní numbers àwa la ní numbers through Ifá kò sí anything tó fẹ́ ṣe lénìí ẹ ṣé gan ni bàbá mi brother mi dáadáa our good one Bishop Adesina 1850 in Abẹ́òkúta ìwé ìròyìn fún èdè Yorùbá ẹ wá imagine tó bá jẹ́ pé ìwé ìròyìn yẹn ṣì ń exist títí dìsìn ṣe mọ̀ pé New York Times ò ní sí lẹ́gbẹ̀ẹ́ á wà lẹ́yìn ẹ̀ ni torí pé a ti develop a ti rìn jìnnà ju kódà habit Concord tó ń wọ London ṣe mọ̀ pé Concord ò wọ London mọ́ nísìn lẹ́yìn Abíọ́lá ti kú because individual lòun kọ́lọ̀ fọ̀rùn kẹ́ but tó bá yẹ pé orílẹ̀-èdè ló ń gbé Concord yẹn Concord ṣì máa exist títí di bá ṣe ń sọ̀rọ̀ lénìí. wọ́n ti gbé wa ní mógùn kò ní dá fáwọn ìran àwọn tó kó wa lẹ́rù yẹn kò ní dá fún wọn kí ni mo sọ mo ní kò ní dá fún wọn torí pé ìkà tó ṣe fún wa òun ló ń lọ lọ́nkàn yẹn. wọ́n dá ilé ilẹ̀ ní 1851 ó dẹ̀ sì ń jẹ́ the voice èdè Yorùbá ìwé ìròyìn tó jẹ́ kó jẹ́ voice fún gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá wọ́n panú ẹ̀ mọ́lẹ̀ wọ́n dè mọ́lẹ̀ wọ́n jẹ́ kó jáde àwa ń gbóhùn síta nísìn látara kéékèèké Yorùbáwùyí ìkíní kan wuyì dára Ọmọlúkà àwa ń gbé ohùn síta adúpẹ́ fún Ọmọlúkà he had a slight accident kò farapa but ní tó bá lè support ẹ̀ you can reach out to him kó lè fi fix mọ́tò ẹ̀. I spoke to him already. The motor was right off, but Kolon ko wá pẹ̀lú wa, but kò farapa. They were traveling to Benin Republic. But láàrin inú Nigeria ní accident yẹn ti ṣẹlẹ̀. You can see why some of us ọ̀rọ̀ Yorùbá nation yìí agbésígbà àyà wa torí pé àwọn nǹkan tá a ṣe wá ń gbọ́ ní méjì mẹ́ta àwọn nǹkan tá a ṣe ń rí àwọn nǹkan tí wọ́n fi ń là wá lóye àwa realize pé the binary tó ń lò lénìí the numbers tó fi ń ṣe gbogbo nǹkan your passport must have a number your social security number national insurance number driver license ó ní number your vehicle ó ní number nínú each of this number gbogbo ẹni tó dẹ̀ tẹ̀ díẹ̀ náà Ọlákúnlé I hope you're strong now Ọlọ́run bá fún ẹ lálàáfíà and the rest of the people that are then ọ̀rẹ́ mọ́mísí mi kan náà jáde láyé very close friend of ours in America wọ́n náà gbọ́dọ̀ ti sin wọ́n lénìí náà according to the Islamic rite kọ́ ló máa fi ọ̀run kẹ́wọn lára àwọn tó ń taṣọ ní gọ́tà níjọ́ náà lọ́hùn kọ́ ló ń fọ̀run kẹ́wọn kó wà pẹ̀lú àwọn mọ̀lẹ́bí náà I won't mention the name gbogbo àwọn tó dẹ̀ ti kú náà àti tó ń jáde lọ tẹ́ẹ̀mí ń jáde lọ lára ẹ̀ kọ́nà bá fọ̀run kẹ́ gbogbo wọn gbogbo bàbá wa tó ti lọ bí bàbá tèmi náà kọ́nà fọ̀run kẹ́ wọn àwọn ìyá tiyín náà ti lọ kọ́nà fọ̀run kẹ́ wọn gbogbo àwa tá a ṣì kù láyé ẹ jẹ́ ká jà ká gbára wa kúrò lọ́wọ́ àwọn amúnisìn. I'm not taking any call. Please do not interrupt. We have been deceived by the West that we are kì í ṣe èèyàn. But Ọba Elédùmarè, whatever you believed, accepted that we are people to be reckoned with. Ìyẹn la ṣe sọ pé ìwọ ni àwa ni àgbákọ́ ni ẹ má bínú kò ṣe pé a fi ń gbéraga ẹ̀dẹ̀ wọn pélé ti ṣú so èmi gan control voice yẹn torí ẹ̀mọ̀ inú ilé mo ti ń ṣe broadcast so ohun yẹn gbọ́dọ̀ lọ sókè too much mo control voice yẹn àfi tó bá yẹ pé nǹkan tẹ́ fẹ́ sọ really urgent but tó bá ti urgent yẹ ká máa bá program yẹn lọ èmi máa rántí gbèsè yẹn mo kàn fẹ́ ká mọ̀ pé we have been deceived by the West. And until if we pull out together, then we can stop it. Then we can move things further in our development and in our lives. There will still be problem in the future. There's no doubt about it. There will still be threat. Threat that in role leni koloma wa in future. But let us prepare. So the New York Times, we found out the background, was set up in 18th of September 1951. So that showed that ìwé ìròyìn tí àwọn bàbá wó lọ́wọ́ àbí ṣe bá bàbá wó lọ́wọ́ ló àbí ká ló ìwé ìròyìn àwọn whoever established it, that means they saw the future that would have been great for us, that would have been best for us. Tó máa dàbí àwọn ọmọ Qatar mò ń wò lórí Instagram lẹ́nìí. They only ṣé àwọn ọmọ Qatar 3 hours lọ fi ń ṣiṣẹ́. Kò ń ṣàwọn tó lọ ṣiṣẹ́ níbẹ̀ bẹ́ Áfíríkà o. Kódà according to one of my sources, wọ́n ní airport wọn àwọn ọmọ Kenya ló pọ̀ níbẹ̀. Bishop ní binary figure, Pascal triangle formula, simultaneous equation, quadrat equation, all was extracted from Ifa material. Oh, beautiful. They've deceived us for too long, and it is now at the appropriate time to stop all the deceit and the lies that we are people that cannot be reckoned with. So when some of us, let me just put it that way, come on this and say, we will lead us, but we have already been ahead of the game, that we established a paper, a newspaper that would have been the discussion, the conversation for the world. Don't pè ní ìwé ìròyìn. I don't talk about him because I don't see him as relevant. But ẹ wo bí ó ṣe sọ̀rọ̀ ní Saudi, ó ń sọ Yorùbá, ó ń translate it. Ẹ wo bí àwọn other countries around the world, their leaders, G7, bó ṣe máa fẹ́ parí ẹ̀ nísìn. Modi, the Indian Prime Minister, tó wà ní third term nísìn. There's always somebody sitting by the side. Tó o bá ti ń sọ èdè. Ṣé mọ̀ pé even gan bàtó ń bá Rishi Sunak sọ̀rọ̀, wọ́n translate sí ni. Kò gbọ́ bí Rishi Sunak ni kò gbọ́ èdè mọ́ ni, but it was a translation. That is the power of a language. Since tá a sanwó fún New York Times, because èmi ò sanwó fún wọn. So I'm just going to use their headline alone. Then I will give you how the presidency have responded to the New York Times. Àtìmọ̀ New York Times, àtìmọ̀ pé paper ni. Nígbà tó dá sílẹ̀, ìwé ìròyìn ilẹ̀ Yorùbá was already ahead of the game in terms of ká kọ, ká print. That means I think print paper. Mo ṣe wá rántí pé àbájọ tó ṣe jẹ́ kí ìwé pín paper mi ò ṣiṣẹ́. It was destroyed. We were far ahead of the game. But we were kept below par. So when some of us are here struggling, and I mean some of us, including myself, we're all struggling. Imati ọmọ Hindu kan láǹfààní àti wà together lẹ́ni. Only we are just rotating in this country. In, out, in, out, in, out. Nothing seems to be the same. We're struggling. Lóòótọ́, we look fresh, but we are struggling. Àdúpẹ́ f'Ọlọ́run. Àwọn tó wà ní diaspora, wọ́n ní understanding nǹkan tí mò ń sọ. Ẹni tó wà Nàìjíríà kò lè yé. Akọni gbogbo ilẹ̀ wà labroad. As far as we are concerned, ẹ̀ ń gbádùn. But like I said, a citizen of Qatar is privileged to get up to free education to university level. They only work 3 hours in a day. One Shijubelo. I've cited my mom, so I say good evening and welcome to the live transmission. So the New York Times, this was the headline. Like I said, since that's on Wolfon, I cannot access and read. I would have loved to read the whole full article, but I will not be able to read it because we are not paying for it. So we're only going to use the headline. This was 7 days ago. But mo dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ Ọ̀gbẹ́ni Bobby, ìyẹn ló ṣe ní ìmọ̀ tán síbì kan. Ìròyìn tó máa ń ṣe lálálẹ́ ọ̀dọ̀ ẹ̀ ni mo ti gbọ́ ọ̀rọ̀ yẹn kó tó di pé mo wá lọ rí. Nigeria confront its worst economic crisis in a generation. This is the New York Times. Ẹ rántí pé mo sọ fún yín pé the power of the media means that there is no way that any country in the world, táwọn people bá kọ article jáde, that if you don't respond to it, á jẹ́ pé paper yẹn kò dúró dáadáa. And that is why we are grateful to Professor Banji Akintoye. Kò sí bí bàbá yẹn bá sọ̀rọ̀, it holds ground. Tabatuwa adi Igboho mọ́, ó di double force. Ẹ̀dẹ̀gbọ́n kan tó lóye Igboho sọ ní 2 weeks ago Saturday pé wọ́n ti fẹ́ dàárín òun àti bàbá Akintoye rú. And one of them is bàbá tí kò ní kú síbi táṣọ ẹ̀ wà tó ń pè ní Wálé Adéníran. Mo sọ gbogbo ẹ̀yin tẹ́ bá mọ̀, mo ní kò ní kú síbi táṣọ ẹ̀ wà. And I'll just leave it like that for now. Ẹni mo sọ bẹ́ẹ̀ pé kò ní kú síbi táṣọ ẹ̀ wà. Torí pé ọ̀dàlẹ̀ ni. Nigeria is facing its worst economic crisis in decades with the S at the back. One in decades with skyrocketing inflation, a national currency in a free fall, and millions of people are in a camo. Torí pé wọ́n expect pé kí n sanwó fún ìtókù. Yeah, let's take a seven. Okay. So now, presidency, and when I say presidency, I'm talking about the Nigerian federal government. Just realized that New York Times, the article 7 days ago, Washington responded just yesterday, because that was another day today. Tinubu Oshe, money is a weak element. Onsoni is a sleeping government that many of you are praying, may Nigeria bring the best out of me. Nigeria is not going to bring the best out of anybody. It's a shithole country and it is gone. And we will make it go quicker down. That is the reason why we will educate. My family has pleaded with me, especially my mom and my wives. What if bear me pé kí má bọ́ anybody more, but kò ń ṣe bí tàwọn olóṣèlú. Or ní kí má bọ́ olóṣèlú, but the average Nigerians, I should just leave them. But whatever will make you understand this, we will continue to make the effort. Whether through your support or not, we are not going to get tired. And like I said, I am the last man standing. I have what it takes with my little knowledge to start doing this awareness in the format kan tó jáde nísìn àmúṣe ìyẹn tó ṣe jáde ní 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, so that we will have the full broadcast, but we will start having some nice 10 minutes with the view of London. Ìgbà míì máa sọ̀rọ̀ ní background, ìgbà míì mo ní sọ̀rọ̀. Mo kàn fẹ́ kẹ́ máa wo àwọn fídíò yẹn and start thinking deep, especially in Nigeria. Ṣẹ̀rẹ̀ àwọn tó wà abroad, if anybody living in UK, America, Canada, in any part of the European country, ever tell you that Nigeria will be great, don't curse them, just tell them to relocate back to that great country. Nígbà táwọn pastor, gbogbo àwọn pastor wọn tó jẹ́ pastor big churches tó wà ní UK, wọ́n pè wá, wọ́n ṣàdúrà pé ẹ gbọ́dọ̀ dákẹ́. I won't mention the churches. Bàbá kan ṣe pè mí lẹ́nìí láti Birmingham. Ṣé ni lọ́pẹ́ àbáná? Wọ́n lè máa pè ṣàdúrà. Ọwọ́ káàkiri náà all over, even in Nigeria. Àwọn ò ní lè jáde kó sọ̀rọ̀, but they are praying gradually behind the scene for us. Now, Tinubu's government have responded back to New York Times. We're just about 1 hour into the program. I am just floating at the moment. Punch newspaper headline: Tinubu government tackling economic crisis. Presidency replies New York Times. That is the power of the media. Now, and I appreciate Yeyedara for mentioning that as well, I think in one of our broadcasts. Ẹ má máa sọ pé Yoruba nation pé àṣìṣe. Ẹlòmíà ní àwọn ògbọ́n yín mọ́. No, ẹ̀yin lẹ́yìn ògbọ́n mọ́. But our governor's response sí wa. The governor responded to us. Ṣé last week lọ jáde lọ ṣe meeting wọn. Tọ́nà àwọn condemn wa. Whether àwa ló ń condemn ni, whether the second section of, but they actually mention Yoruba nation. That shows that messages tá à ń sọ̀rọ̀ lé lórí ni wọ́n respond sí, just as Tinubu is responding. That is the power of the voice of what we are saying. So when people say, "Oh, ẹ̀yin lẹ ní time," because ẹ̀yin tẹ́yin ti ń hustle, àbí bí tẹ́yin ò ti ráyè gbọ́ wa, ẹlòmíì jẹ́ dà aspirant tó ti lọ ṣiṣẹ́ 14 hours, kó o máa difficult láti jókòó gbọ́ 3 hours program. Àfi tó bá yẹ wà lẹ́nu program. Èmi náà ti jókòó látàárọ̀ kó tó di pé láti ìgbà tí mo ti jáde lọ tí mo ṣe fàájì lọ, mo wọlé mo sùn. Báwo la tá sọ̀rọ̀? Mo ní mo wo Yorùbá program kan. Not something I watch all the time. I was going with the vibes on that one. The Mugbogweni Bobby. So I've done a lot of things. So, but for somebody that have done long hours, it will be difficult for them to catch up with many of our programs. But they must have Yoruba nation. But our governors need to respond to what? Who are the governors? They are the representative of Southwest Nigeria as at today, because Nigeria is still a country. So for the fact that 6 Southwest governors came out, responded to our quest for self-determination means a lot. So that means our voice is heard at the government houses across Yoruba land. So that's a great one. So Mobewa, so when we are saying, I take back country, yes, I take back country because we are not turning it into violence. Nor are we turning it into anarchy. It is a movement that gains leverage, that gains popularity, even with all the things that have been thrown into it, because many things were thrown into this. Yes, any right láti pull out. Commit with tabak big country and everybody to jọmọ Yorùbá máa ní kọ́ No, it will still for the benefit of everybody. Yes, it could be very tough. It could be, some people have been stressed out, some have had heart attack, and some have died along the line. That's why it's called movement. A movement is not like, oh, I just go to one store in I bought just 4 items. Mora apple juice, mora fruit juice. No, in mẹ́ta, mo dẹ̀ ra milk. Ẹ̀wọ̀n kò tó bá yẹ kí ebi ṣe wọnú store yẹn nísìnyí tí bá ní freedom níbí báyìí ni, I will have bought it. So it's not something that will come easy. But we're hoping and trying our best to convince our people and say, in tó ń jẹ́ ká máa jìyà òun ni pé àwọn òyìnbó rí future tí àwa ta ni future yẹn gangan táàrí. Left to a lot of us, I don't know, but left to a lot of us within my cycle, by now we shouldn't be living in this country. We should be back home supporting the Yoruba government. Then probably maybe another set will go out for a couple of years and do training and return back home. If you want to tell me, 24 years, only 30 only 40. Then I interchange. Before I talk about Tinubu, because of course, and this was part of the discussion with Walata yesterday. Most of you that are arriving in this country, you would have to be very, very patient, especially as a couple. You are in Nigeria, take it easy, Belorain. Our time be by yourself. A manager, our way, koma bad pay inule tuka. I'm not saying that any tobati no yawa being kokaboko no yawa be vice versa. I'm talking about you've left Nigeria for a reason. You've arrived there. Just try to, adopt and accept things as it is. Only then got a bad baby by call a bad. Because Walata was telling me about a couple yesterday. I'm not going to go into the details. It's a terrible situation. Well, it took me 1 year to deal with. So a lot of you will probably need therapy. Because in the ba at in tons of money, at in the bad day be by. Because in tons someone from PhD. And the family is going through problem. Can you imagine? Enton she masters, enton losi bishe, tinule yen ti ko don't bono. It could lead to a lot of things. So I pray that, the community will come into. I'm not a therapy man, but I just pray that whatever anybody of intention did in so phone, in UK in so, there are many bodies of one way. Kojo, kosha shisuru. Odun ye ma skele. Emma go through. But for now, be very, very patient. There's a family going through a rough time. What if they look less than a year in turn facing the sound mejeji? I just hope it doesn't lead to something that will come up on the media in the near future. So, Mubayini. So if you have anybody that are going through difficult times, just talk to them and tell them to be patient. Especially if you have invested a lot to arrive in this country. It's a lot of money that people have puffed out. A lot of money. Premium Times. Presidency clears misconception of the New York Times report on Nigeria. Again, more reason to punch in low at headline of Totomeji. Presidency counter New York Times says Tinubu inherit dead economy. I want us to hold on to that. Presidency replies New York Times, the cable, says Tinubu didn't create the current economy. Ṣé mo pé wà látàn sọ kan fún mi lánàá tí mo ever think of. after Buhari, dead or alive. Ṣé mọ̀ pé Buhari ò ti wá gba treatment in the UK since he left the government. It's a year now that Fulani Buhari, the evil man that Tinubu brought to destroy Yoruba people and kill us, he has not traveled to UK for medical treatment. Why? Ṣé kò sick mọ́ sọ fún wa nísìn? So Buhari is now officially fit. Is that what they're telling us? Should we now say that Buhari is no longer sick? Everything to okay, Larry. Because Buhari was coming here like every 6 months. So what happened to Buhari? What happened to him? That all of a sudden, the former president is not coming to UK for his medical needs. Kódà kò tẹ̀ wá ṣe yín gan sef. Ẹ rántí pé the last time he came, wọ́n ní eyín ẹ̀ kan ti yọ. According to Femi Adesina, all the lies and Lai Mohammed. So all of a sudden, Buhari is now very fit. Hallelujah. To go. All right. So what I'm going to do now is, okay, even there's a TVC analysis on that. So because it's a platform that is from the Onyibos, what the New York Times is saying, is it something that Koikimedia have said it? Is it something that all our medias have talked about it? Yes or no? When Nigeria is dead, economy collapse. I just want to find out from our audience. Is this something that we have talked about? Okay. Only one person saying yes. Okay. Nyamiji, Adeni Akim. Olakunle, yes. Alabi Akim. Okay. Additional. Awantoku. They are not sure. Okay. Grandma Comfort Adele is yes. Okay. So, Bubuins agree. So, not just me. I'm talking about Bubu platforms. So, Mufid Kumada Bikwe. And I'm not, as we're all working all the media platforms. We all just have different style. I finish a program. So that means in the New York Times, I want to sabi Yoruba World Media, Ombe Media, Babekiti, Omoluka, Masbi, Omabiodun Chapo, Daddy Miyola, they doing so. Yes. So we have all talked about the kilo data on Nigerian paper reference our. You can see the power of how media becomes. If we on paper Nigeria, but they dare not talk about it from my platform, but it's better for them to talk from the New York Times. So, what do we do more to get the Nigerian newspaper to talk about us, not in the violent way? That is how we need to start thinking more. For them to start, referencing to Yoruba Nation. Reference Yoruba Nation. What do we need to be doing? This is a task for every one of us to think about. Because whatever New York Times is saying, because I know I was, the weekend I wanted the place to be free. So Karanga Misabe staircase. This is what Babakitoye have stated so many times. And if I go back on my ọlọ́pàá ló ń lọ yẹn o, ní to one or ambulance. I'm not going to go into the prosperity. Let's go and look for Baba Akintoye. Let's just look for one of Baba Akintoye recently advised to President Tinubu on the Nigerian economy. Not that Nigerian people are not big, but what I'm trying to say is that there are some platforms in the world that if we also reckon along their line, Tabaloba New York Times, listen, they're not going to grant interview for Baba Akintoye. I'm going to be honest with you. Not that people have not pushed towards that line, but they're not. But certain things, we get to certain things, Lori Oro Yoruba Nation, they will be looking for Baba Akintoye. Koda, they will fly their crew to Benin Republic to go and grant an interview with him. But ìyẹn kò sí ọwọ́ gbogbo àwa tó kù tá à ń ṣiṣẹ́ fún Baba Akintoye. Mo sọ àwọn tó ṣiṣẹ́ fún wọn, I always say it, àwa ń ṣiṣẹ́ fún wọn ni. So this is the reason why we must remain consistent, because the consistency of what we are doing means that New York Times can type it. I want technology to if you check software. Yoruba Nation, so imagine for like 1 year, borrow Yoruba Nation, which is what Adeni Akim talked about, rally. So we are just about 12 days from President Ahmed Tinubu to give us the acknowledge. If he does, if he doesn't, it's okay. We would have to push out again in a non-violent way, as we have done in the past. We would have to hit the street of Lagos, Ogun State, Kwara, Kogi, Ekiti, Ondo. We would have to keep the band running 24/7. This is where you then have to support the YSDM Oromiyan Mewa. Because if we're going to go out, distribute over okay, wọ́n máa fẹ́ ṣaṣọ ni, wọ́n fẹ́ ṣe this ni, wọ́n fẹ́ print leaflet ni. The reason why the New York Times can speak and President Bola Tinubu government is responding to them is because the New York Times is the voice of the voiceless. And don't get me wrong or right, they also have their own agenda. Because only with them I just want us to listen to this, because I've picked up this is by the Marshall and Blocky view me. So again, TVC, controlled and owned by Tinubu, is a private business, as Tinubu owns TVC. Everybody knows that. And I believe this is Bayo Onanuga. Let's hear what he has to say. And then I would come into the conversation again.
Let's turn our attention now to the New York Times report saying Nigeria is facing the worst economic crisis in decades. Skyrocketing inflation, national currency in free fall,
yes.
People struggling to buy food. The crisis, it says, is largely believed to be rooted in 2 million changes implemented by the president 15 months ago. The removal of food subsidies and the floating of the currency together, it says, have caused major price rises, adding that punishing inflation means poverty rates are expected to rise further this year and the next, according to the World Bank. But the presidency disagrees. It says the report, based on several interviews, was all gloom and doom, as it never mentioned the positive aspects in the same economy, as well as the ameliorative policies being implemented by the central and state governments. Joining me is Special Advisor to President Bola Tinubu on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga. Mr. Onanuga, thank you for joining us on the News First Hour.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me.
The New York Times in this report based its submission on a few factors. Factors like high inflation, free falling naira, and the fact that millions of people are struggling to buy food. Do you agree to an extent that these indices, Nigeria, with these indices, that Nigeria is facing an unprecedented economic crisis?
Well, our contention is that we're not facing any unprecedented economic crisis. This country has gone through several economic crises in the past. I remember in 1983, it was
Let me remind us that these are criminals, politicians that have come up with more of their cronies to defend a failed government. Tinubu sọ pé I got a bad or a dead economy from Buhari. That is what Tinubu is saying, that in Tóun Buhari was a dead economy, according to the Punch newspaper. Presidency countered the New York Times. Mo kàn fẹ́ ká kọ̀ gbọ́ clip yẹn a little bit ni. I can do without the clip. You know, I might be whether I can read it out, but I just want you to hear Bayo Onanuga, because these are criminals. They're good in that. He's paid for that job to defend the government, just like Lai Mohammed was being paid to defend the dead or alive Olori Buruku Fulani terrorist Buhari that Tinubu brought in to make the economy to die further, as it was already dead for the 16 years of a crazy PDP, because none of them are clean anyway. You can tell from how nobody is picking up Yaya Bello. Nobody even knows where he is anymore. As you can tell from all the criminal senators that have enriched themselves through the fraudulent system known as the Constitution, that allows them to make sure that they can use constituency projects from the money coming into the government. So, Ben Yami comfortably. So Tinubu is just literally following the footstep of a criminal gang of the same. So, presidency countered the New York Times says Tinubu inherited a dead economy. The presidency stated on Sunday that President Bola Tinubu inherited a dead economy, but was determined to resolve the nation's economic crisis. It was reacting. The word reacting, Romeo, Echo, Alpha, Charlie, Tango, India, November, Golf. Let's look for the full meaning according to the Google or the English dictionary. So, the word react.
React.
What we're going to have to do as this movement progresses, we must do things that the government will react. But we know that in Africa, the reaction of African governments is violent. We know that. They will always react in violence. So mo bá èèyàn kan sọ̀rọ̀ ní Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́. Wọ́n wá ní kí n jọ kí n sọ fáwọn èèyàn wa pé kẹ́ lọ máa renew gbogbo ìtẹ́ ti lò tẹ́lẹ̀ àbí ìtẹ́ ṣì ń lò lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́, ẹ lọ renew ẹ̀ sí. Because it is always good to renew. The reason why people are doing 72 hours prayer is because there's a lot of attacks. So you want to make sure that you are fortified properly, so that tó bá ju nǹkan wá, tó bá tẹ̀ máa bẹ̀, ìwọ náà ní kankan tó fẹ́ fi block ẹ̀ díẹ̀. That's why we're praying now, is it? The reason that I'm praying here, because we are just preparing, because àwọn àdúrà kan wà máa ṣe sílẹ̀, so that tí nǹkan kan bá ń bọ̀, I stop it. And please don't say, I'm not talking about just ọ̀rọ̀ oníṣẹ̀ṣe nìkan, whatever, Christian, Muslim. Because I'm not about to sọ̀rọ̀ lọ sí line yẹn, àwọn kan máa gbà ọdún tó bẹ̀rẹ̀ àwọn ẹlẹ́bọ̀dé o. No. And again, I don't want anybody to come and say, Christian ò lè gbà wọ́n sílẹ̀. No, that is not your own. Èyí tó lè gbà wọ́n sílẹ̀ ni kò sọ̀rọ̀ lé lórí. Má mú ẹnu bá tẹlòmíì. Leave it. Islam ló fẹ́ fi defend ara wọn ni, let them use it. But I plead with everybody, go and renew again. Because If at the time we come out, the government will react. The reaction we don't know yet because Yoruba man ló wà níbẹ̀ lóòótọ́, but more how it will react to us. Ó lè ní kó fi wọ́n sílẹ̀ kán máa ṣe tán ṣe lọ tó bá ṣáà ti dàlúrú, and they can take the same step like Buhari and they can kill. But let's just have it at the back of our mind that every government, whether it's Tinubu or not, in Africa, they are there by the colonizer to kill us. And that is why we're in this danger, in poverty, inflation. Let's listen a little bit more. I can play from the laptop, but I'm told the screen on Legbo. So let's just listen a little bit more to the criminal Bayo Onanuga, another criminal Yoruba man.
Regime, we face serious economic crisis. I remember even from a few decades ago again, we face serious crisis. So we are not.
It's talking about Buhari regime in 1983. So, nígbà tẹ́ mọ̀ pé Buhari, nígbà tẹ́ lọ gbé wá nígbà yẹn, it was a failure. But because America sọ fún wọn pé ẹ lo Buhari, ṣe rántí pé former Navy officer, Comrade OLAKUNLE told us that àwọn làwọn sọ pé kó gbé Buhari wá. Ṣe rántí pé ẹ̀gbọ́n yẹn sọ bẹ́ẹ̀, even though most of them have regretted it now, that they went to America and they told Americans, as if America ló nílẹ̀ wá, that they told America that Buhari is the best person to use. But what they did not tell us is that Buhari had a different agenda to bring his people in and kill as many people, even as at today, even as at tomorrow. The reason why the death ratio will continue is because people brought in Buhari. Tinubu was the major funder for Buhari coming into the presidency. Buhari jẹ president lẹ́ni owó Tinubu ló fi fund. Now, who is deceiving who? Who is fooling who? So tani Tinubu ń ṣiṣẹ́ fún. So Tinubu government would eventually react. And the meaning of that is act in a response to something, respond in a particular way. How would this government respond to us when we come back on the street demanding for our right? Like the Scottish people on this weekend, 22, yes, they're coming out again. Since we didn't have any funding for that, I will not be traveling for that purpose. But they're coming out as they've done in the Nino or doing. The Scottish people have been out almost every month, if I'm right. So and it's 6 months. So they've at least even say 5 times. I want to think about the same thing, but I'm on Scotland, because the same thing that the Scottish people are backing for is what we want to get. But we have not come out for any single rally. Eventually, when we come out, how would this presidency react? We don't know yet. Time will tell. But the current state of Nigeria, as it is right now, it is pushing towards a reaction that many Nigerians would have no other choice than to vet their anger, whether they are in support of Yoruba nation or Biafra nation, Ijaw nation, or whatever, even up to, let's come out of this Bayo Onanuga, another criminal Yoruba man, and let's go to, we are not for restructuring. Let us be very clear. But something is pushing that will make Nigeria collapse, to drop drastically. And that time is getting closer, bit by bit. We want it to be fast. ẹ ní kàn lójú, but ẹ máa ṣègbìyànjú yín, ẹ máa gbàdúrà, ẹ máa prepare mind yín for the worst case scenario. Olóyún tó fẹ́ bímọ, the coming out of that baby does not come easy. Ó dìgbà tẹ́ bá gbóhùn ọmọ lẹ máa tó mọ̀ pé ọmọ yẹn survive. So for us to make sure that Yoruba nation survive, we must keep the fire burning, which is what we are doing right now. I could have gone to bed. I could have been doing other things. Nobody has called me and said, Koiki, oya jáde. Not even my mom. But because I knew that tó bá tún pẹ́ sí, tó tún dọ̀la, Koiki ò jáde, Saturday, ṣé kò sí àárín ní Koiki. Àdèrè àwọn tó kù tó jáde. Some of you get concerned. Some of you get worried. But the fact remains is that everything is pushing Nigeria into that danger line. Ìyẹn la ṣe ń sọ fún Tinubu pé tẹ́ ẹ kọ́kọ́ acknowledge lẹ́tà tiwa, so that not that it will stop the pressure, it will just bring a dialogue, a discussion. And if Tinubu does not again react to our letter, the consequence is that we have the right to now also push out. Again, not in a violent way, but in a way to make Tinubu understand that Yoruba nation is not a joke. And I'm very pleased and happy with Prophet Ologunlua and Mayowa, the youth diaspora, Omeyo. They continue to respond swiftly, back to back, especially with people that are antagonizing our movement. I'll come back to that in a minute. Let's listen to this man that we talked about him. I told you, Akin Fakpomunda, or should I say Mr. Akin Fakpomunda, because, I'm Oluwabeniwa. Even though I've seen his face on the Twitter, I've not been able to capture what it looks like properly. Hopefully when I do a software, we can still play back the video again. I want to play the video. I don't know why. Majority of the people were listening to it, but I don't Koiki Agbo. So what I can do then is, because I'm always short of, and again, like 2 of my laptop is being, hijacked by the children right now, so I'm even short of another laptop, Tamafinche Koiki Odudua. So I have to use a phone. So we're not live on the Twitter space. So if you have a spare phone, I still need phones. I need your support to be able to get all these things. So what I'm going to do into our Instagram, I'm going to pull out the Instagram on Koikimedia. I have 2 Instagram running. You can join that one temporarily. Then we come back out again. Thank you so much. Because as I'm going to play it, like I said, whether people are pushing for a restructured Nigeria, which we are not part of it, whether we are the one pushing for self-determination, or whether it is just the Nigerians that are now saying we are getting tired. But they are getting tired, but they don't know who should lead the whole structure as it's going to collapse. So how this man reacted, Mr. Fakpomunda, on the topic that says, if Nigeria will be in trouble, but Nigeria is already in trouble. Otiwa trouble already. If restructuring is not prioritized by 2027, which is 3 years from now. But push Buhari from their own end. People have been pushing. Nobody's listening. Those senators think that they are, because they have people that carry gun, they have America that support them, UK, they have the international community that will say, yeah, go and beat them, beat all those your children, tell them to shut up, tell them to shut up. those children that you are beating, that you are beating, Otiyewa, Majekin Fenoso. I don't need to explain further. Bubari wo yamuti pani 3 years ago. Iti mo so yen o she hang bí ṣe sọ gangan yẹn náà ló ṣe máa rí but má ní kí n tún máa repeat ẹ̀ tó bá mọ tí mò ń sọ go and look for all my videos inú ibi tí mo jókòó sí náà ni I remember kódà bá máa ṣèwé mi mo rí picture kan mo mọ bí ọmọ mi ló yà ni laptop yẹn tá kọ́kọ́ bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí lò nígbà yẹn gbogbo keyboard ẹ ti jẹ tán báyìí so mo máa ń lo external keyboard wọ́n gbóúnjẹ fún mi báyìí lórí ìjókòó náà mo ti ń jẹun mo ṣe gbogbo so those I saw it I was just laughing I'm move phone I'm take pictures that I'm not even know that they're taking the pictures so a lot of things will come out later on in the future but for now let's listen to how this man spoke about how Nigeria can end up to be on their own end if it is restructured. But everybody knows, let's get that restructure first, and then you talk about self-determination. No, we can get self-determination, which everybody can agree with. But they are asking Tinubu, this man is asking Tinubu to push the bill. He was going to use his House of Reps or Senator from his state to make the push. But from what I've listened to, is asking Tinubu to be the one to push forward the bill or the draft, not the bill, the draft of his own proposal. England Champions League. I did a program on that day. We talked about it. And let's go further and listen.
Good morning to you. Good morning to viewers today. Happy Father's Day to everyone.
Thank you so much, sir. Happy Father's Day to you too.
Good morning to you. Good morning to viewers today. Happy Father's Day to everyone.
Thank you so much, sir. Happy Father's Day to you too. All right, let's talk restructuring. Let's talk Nigeria, sir. I'm aware, as many people are, that you have submitted a letter, a draft bill to the presidency after some initial issues around the propriety of sending it to the House of Representatives, basically seeking to have Nigeria restructured. Tell us why this is your concern at this point, and what the draft bill is about, and what are you trying to achieve? Are you speaking for yourself, or are you speaking for either the Afenifere or the Yoruba Elders Council?
Thank you very much. So many questions roll into one. The bottom line is that it is now time. The time has come for us to change the structure of Nigeria. If we don't do it now, and we go into the next election in 2017 with what we have now,
2027, sir.
then we are doing the same 27. Then we are doing the same things and the same way, and we're expecting a better result. We don't have a good outcome of what we have had in 2023. We've not had a good outcome of what we have had since the beginning of 1999, this administration. This dispensation. So it is time for this country to do something in the next couple of months. And being a student of Nigerian politics at my age, I know, for instance, you cannot get anything done through National Assembly as a private member, private citizen. It will not fly. It will just die in the committee. It's only the president that can forward a bill to National Assembly that has a very high chance of passage.
Now, let's hold on to that. Will the president forward such a bill or a draft? How many people would think that Tinubu would say, oh yeah, ẹ bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí sọ̀rọ̀ nípa a restructured Nigeria or a regional government as some are expecting. Sherry, most Nigerians know the truth, but we tend to lie against ourselves. Tinubu is not in control of Nigeria. I will not mention names of the countries, but the West are in charge and the operation of Nigeria. Whether you believe it or not, that is your own cup of tea. I'm just at my own. With no sugar. Your president, Tinubu, is not in charge of Nigeria. Nigeria is controlled from outside Nigeria. So if you like, hit your head on your wall. If you like, argue with your wife in the house. Just don't fight each other. Again, solid Yoruba, kule yawa, tagbo English, no English. Man like Yoruba we, no English. Baba Ekiti ani, ema ekingera milenu je. Tinubu, okay, Kenkmale, President Tinubu, òun kọ́ ló ń darí ìlú tó ń pè Nàìjíríà. Àwọn tó ń darí Nàìjíríà ìta ló wà. Àwọn ìlú tó ń darí Nàìjíríà ìta ló wà. Bógun ẹ̀ kò gbọ́, bógun ẹ̀ kò ní irọ́ ni mò ń pa. My last program on Friday, tí bá rántí, mo ní mo fún ní ọdún kan sí 2.5 billion tó ṣe gbà lọ́wọ́ World Bank tí kò sọ kí ló fi gbà sí kíni collateral tó gbé sílẹ̀. Tí Tinubu ò sọ fún wa kí ẹ mọ̀ kọ́kọ́ ni wọ́n yá wa lówó wọ́n náà máa san díẹ̀díẹ̀ tá a bá wá rí san kí ló máa ṣẹlẹ̀ ṣé wọ́n ti fi ra lẹ̀ wa padà ní àbọ̀ ti fi gba lẹ̀ wa. Gbogbo èèyàn ló mọ̀ but ẹ̀ ń dúró káwọn ilé máa ṣe àwọn bàbá báyìí máa ṣe analysis tó ti ń ṣe bọ̀ láti 63 years of that shit whole country. Analysis kọ́ làwa ṣe o. Ẹ má rò pé analysis la no àwa ń create awareness ni láti lè push out. Àwọn eléyìí ń create analysis láti lè sọ fún Tinubu kó kọ́kọ́ lọ sọ fáwọn tó ń darí Nàìjíríà pé a máa ti gbé draft kan síta bí ìgbà tó jẹ́ pé ọ̀rọ̀ yẹn ò tí ì sí níta tẹ́lẹ̀ rí. Ọ̀rọ̀ tí bàbá yìí ń sọ nísìn àgbọ́rí tẹ́lẹ̀. Ṣé Comrade George Akínọlá ní 2017 ń bọ̀ ẹni sọ̀rọ̀ àkókò máa fi ti ara wa gbọ́ nísìn. Tí bàbá yìí ń sọ nísìn èèyàn kan ti sọ ní 2017 ẹni tó sọ evidence ẹ̀ wà fídíò kódà lẹ́yìn ìgbà tá bẹ̀rẹ̀ Yorùbá Nation làwa gbọ́n ṣe gbọ́ pé níbo lọ̀rọ̀ yìí ti ń jáde tẹ́lẹ̀ rí àṣà àwọn ọ̀rọ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ ti wà nígboro tẹ́lẹ̀ rí but ààrẹ ni sọ fún wa torí pé ní 2017 ó dàpọ̀ ti parí election 2015 nígbà yẹn so Buhari ń ṣèjọba lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ so gbogbo expectation gbogbo yàn ni pé Buhari máa aṣèwọ̀nba tó máa ṣe á mú Nàìjíríà dùn àbí bẹ́ẹ̀ kọ́ bí a ṣe ń rò lọ́kàn pé Tinubu náà máa múnú wa dùn títí tóun náà máa fi bá tiẹ̀ lọ tó máa dá ìjọba yẹn padà sí north. Ẹja gbọ́n tí wọ́n sọ níbí báyìí.
It's very clear. We made a declaration saying that it's too late for restructuring in Nigeria.
Okay.
You remember in 1962 there was a massive problem in Nigeria when Awolowo was arrested.
Ẹ má ti lọ jìnnà. Ǹjẹ́ gbọ́ restructure nínú nǹkan tó sọ yìí? It is too late for restructuring. Restructure ni Fápọ̀húndà, Mr. Fápọ̀húndà làwọn ṣẹ̀ wá náà àwọn wá jó ẹ̀mọ̀ pé àwọn kàwé ẹ̀mọ̀ àwọn tó bá kàwé àwọn náà àwọn wá draft ẹ̀ ọkọ ní méjì mẹ́ta so àwọn tó sọ yìí tó draft ẹ̀ ṣé wọ́n ò mọ tó ń sọ létí. Ìbéèrè ni o. Okay, bí a torí pé Tinubu ló wà níbẹ̀ nísìn. Tinubu ló wà níbẹ̀. 10 minutes past 1 a.m. ọ̀gànjọ́ òru la wà. Àsìkò táwọn ṣe ni bí máa ń ṣàṣeyàn lélẹ̀. Ó ní máa sùn, wọn náà ní máa fi gbogbo taratara sùn, wàá máa ṣàdúrà, wàá máa pe Jésù, wàá máa fa koro sí oríṣiríṣi, wàá máa ka Báíbù, máa sùn. Ọ̀gànjọ́ òru tó máa ń ṣiṣẹ́ ibi lélẹ̀. Lẹ́ẹ̀kọ̀ọ̀kan wọn náà tají lóru bí táìmù báyìí, bó tẹ̀ sùn tẹ́lẹ̀, bó ti sùn á tají. Torí àwọn tó ti sàsí Nàìjíríà tá a fi gbára wa kúrò lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀, àwọn náà sùn. Òru làwọn olóṣèlú náà máa ń ṣèpàdé lọ́wọ́ táìmù báyìí ní sọ́sẹ̀ máa fi mọ́tò gbé wọn. Èmi máa wọ aṣọ bí obìnrin, kẹ́ bá mọ̀ pé òun ló ń lọ, a lo mọ́tò tó ní siren lóru báyìí lọ. Wọ́n rìn báyìí. Àwọn àníṣe bí ìgbà. Ẹ lọ gbọ́ nǹkan tí David Odoye sọ. I pity a lot of you. Ó ní ẹ rí mẹ́mọ̀ yẹn, ẹ follow wa lórí Twitter. Aso Rock wọ́n ní àwọn aircraft ń gun orí ẹ̀ kọjá, wọ́n plane náà dà kó kọjá lórí number 10 dání síwájú wálẹ̀ ni. Ó ní àwọn plane private jet wọ́n wá ń lọ, àwọn NIA, Nigeria National Security Intelligence, àwọn release memo. No aircraft should come close to Aso Rock. Tọ́ba máa bọ́m̀bẹ̀ bọ́ ṣe máa bọ́m̀bẹ̀ nìyẹn. Ṣé rántí pé Màláfíà sọ fún wa pé they were moving weapon, moving money. Àti gbàgbé. This was last week, ó wà ní paper. David Odoye ló reveal kìíní yẹn. Bàbá yẹn gòdù gan, kọ́lọ́mbà túbọ̀ kẹ́. Ó lè máa support Yorùbá nation, but he's a brilliant journalist. Ó ní private, tó bá ti dé Nàìjíríà, wọ́n máa pa kìíní, wọ́n máa pa transponder wọn so that ní mọ̀bí tó wà. Inú ibẹ̀ lọ́ fi ń jalè. Tèmi àti ẹ táwa wá ń jìyà, táwa níbi tíṣẹ́ mú wa lénìí tá a lè fọwọ́ sẹ́nu. Àwọn ilé wa ṣe ń sọ̀rọ̀ restructure Nigeria, báwọn máa sọ fún Tinubu kó jọ kó bá wa púṣì bíìlì yẹn lọ sí house. So àwọn òmùgọ̀ senator tí wọ́n rówó jẹ látara wọn bá tẹ̀ rí kọ̀ọ̀kan nu wọn, àṣàbí senator, former senator Dino Melaye, níbo ló ti rówó tẹ́lẹ̀ rí? Business wo ló ń ṣe tẹ́lẹ̀ kó tó di pé wọ́n senator? Ìbí gbogbo alárí bó ṣe rí tó níkùn, ó ti wá dẹni tó jọkùn, ó ra mọ́. Ìwọ náà kò ṣe mọ̀ pé lánàá ìyàwó pàdé mi yẹn, oníká bá fèmí náà síbẹ̀ pé èmi náà mo máa change. Mo ní bẹ́ẹ̀ ni, mo ní because into create fún system ìyẹn làwa ṣe sọ pé ẹ má tẹ̀ fẹ́ àwa síbẹ̀, because kò sẹ́ni tó máa fi sínú Nigerian system as a politician lénìí ìwọ náà máa join wọn ni. Ó sọ fún mi lánàá, mo mọ bí ká sọ̀rọ̀ dé náà ló ní ó ní bàbá fèmí náà síbẹ̀ lénìí èmi náà máa change ohun. Mo ní ìyẹn lèmi ṣe ní kọ́ máa fèmí síbẹ̀ because kò sọgbọ́n tó bá ti wà nínú system yẹn ó lè change nothing. So ẹ wá expect pé àwọn tó ń jalè tó ń lo government tó fi ń jalè, tó ń fi government tó fi ń jalè Tinubu wá gbé bíìlì tí àwa ni ẹ má jalè mọ́ o, eléyìí la fẹ́ gbé fún yín nísìnyí o, ẹ jẹ́ ká jọ gbé yẹ̀wò, ẹ jẹ́ ká lọ wò ó. So ẹ̀yin expect pé àwọn tó ń èèyàn kan ti ń tọrọ owó nísìnyí, mo dá lóhùn ni ó ń tọrọ owó nísìnyí bí ìgbà tẹ́ pọ̀ nìkan nìyà ń jẹ. Mo láwọn tó jẹ́ pé wọ́n ní ẹlòmíì ò tẹ̀ ráyè wá sórí íńtánẹ́ẹ̀tì yà ń jẹ káàrọ̀ owó fún. Tí gẹ̀ẹ́tì wọn mọ̀ sọ. So Tinubu wá gbé bíìlì lé wọn lọ́wọ́, ó yá ẹ gba bíìlì. Mr. Akin Fápòhùdà ló kọ́. Ó ní ọ̀nà tí Nàìjíríà máa fi ní àtúntò nípa regional restructure Nigeria, tolúkàlùkù máa lọ dé pẹ̀lú wọn ní parliamentary system bó ṣe wà ní Scotland. Tí Scotland ní parliamentary system of government tiwọn, Wales, England. If you're one of those still thinking that Tinubu will do it, me personally, I've told you, I don't trust or believe Tinubu to do jack shit. but time will tell. Ṣé mọ̀ pé kúrúkẹrẹ bí Buhari náà ṣe lọ tó lórí burúkú ẹ̀ lọ́dún 8 pákó tí wọ́n wá ń sọ fún wa tí Tinubu wá ń sọ fún wa nísìnyí pé dead economy lòun gbà lọ́wọ́ Buhari. Mo kàn tún padà sọ̀rọ̀ New York Times ní pé kí ni New York Times ń sọ? Ẹgbẹ́nu dákẹ́ pé kí lẹ́yìn mọ̀. Tinubu ó ń sọ̀rọ̀ bí ìgbà tó yẹ pé ó ń bá àwọn bèbí sọ̀rọ̀. Bèbí wáìn ẹran táwọn bèbí yẹn bèbí wáìn bèbí do your thing bèbí ẹran tá ló rántí àwọn kíni tá máa bèbí wáìn bèbí do your thing tá máa jó bèbí wáìn. So Tinubu rò pé bèbí wáìn ni wá. So òun gba gọ́ọ̀mẹ̀ntì lọ́wọ́ gọ́ọ̀mẹ̀ntì. So ọwọ́ PDP ló ti gbà á. Ṣé mọ̀ pé ó mú gọ̀ ní gbogbo wa? Wọ́n tẹ̀rù pé àwọn ọ̀dẹ̀ làwọn bá sọ̀rọ̀ ní 21st century. Wọ́n mọ̀ pé àwa Gen Z generation la wà nísìn. Tinubu sọ wá di Maradona. Bèbí wáìn bèbí do your thing bèbí do your thing. Ẹ̀rọ táwọn kìíní àwọn máa ń gbé àwọn máa láyìn náà bí àtẹ̀mọ̀ bí àwọn Fúlàní tẹ̀ níjọ́ náà náà tá máa mú kíní táwọn máa jó báyìí bèbí do your thing bèbí dáadáa bèbí. Sọ pé òun gba dead economy lọ́wọ́ Buhari. Ta ni Buhari ta ni Tinubu? Mo ní Tinubu ló gbé gbogbo owó tí Buhari fi wọ orí oyè wa. Bọ̀ nítorí pé òun náà fẹ́ wọnú bẹ̀ èmi ló kàn. Mo ń bọ̀ mo kàn fi nọ́ọ̀sẹ̀ lọ sókè ni.
It's very clear.
Ẹ máa gbé lè
We
lọ
made
bọ̀.
a declaration saying that it's too late for restructuring in Nigeria. You will remember in 1962 there was a massive problem in Nigeria when Awolowo was arrested. Our people talked to us. There was crisis for over 4 years that led to the coup. There was a Yoruba meeting of elders called the Yoruba Leaders of Thought. We relented. The thing continued. Yoruba has continued to lose ground since that time. In 1993, there was the annulment of the June 12 election. Shiju Ade, the former Oni, spoke and said Yoruba should go ahead and conduct an election. We did. It led to nothing. The same thing happened in 1998, just before the handover to the democratic elected government. Yoruba did not want to go for anything like Nigeria again. But then it failed. Look at where we are. Yoruba has been losing ground since 1914. And we are just tired. We are not for restructuring. It's too late for restructuring in Nigeria. It's too late for sovereign national conference. It's too late for resource control. What we want now is Oduduwa Republic. And we are very categorical about that. We have made that very clear. We have made declarations. And we are very serious about our demands. Every region just go to its own tent. Yoruba wants to be on its own. Because the problem that Yoruba has is Nigeria. Nigeria is the problem, is the impediment to Yoruba development. Is the impediment to Yoruba development. Without Nigeria, we won't be where we are. 1960, we were far ahead of South Korea and North Korea. We were far ahead of China even. We had television before France. We had radio before South Africa. Now look at where we are today.
Okay.
I think it's a shame that even any Yoruba man can be talking about restructuring at this point in time.
Should we now say that Mr. Akin Fakpomuda that is talking about a restructuring Nigeria? This video was in 2017. But because Tinubu olójú kòkòrò, òun náà fẹ́ mú tiẹ̀ níbẹ̀. Ó fẹ́ ṣe tí Awólọ́wọ̀ àti Abíọ́lá ò ṣe tán. He decided to sell all the Yoruba people. Àwọn kan wá ní Koiki, Tinubu náà lè máa dà bí ọgbọ́n o. Ìyẹn mo wá ní time, cherry time, ago, as long as the battery ìjọ́ tágo bá ti ṣiṣẹ́ mọ́, má stress ààrẹ gbé lọ sọ́dọ̀ àwọn tó ń tún ago ṣe kò ní kọ́ ó mọ̀ pé ní Èkó Òdùmọ̀tà ibẹ̀ ni mo sì tèmi máa ń supply ago sí nígbà tó ń ra ago bọ̀ láti Hong Kong in large quantity. Ibẹ̀ la máa lọ ń dọ́ǹpẹ̀ sí àwọn tó ń rà lọ́wọ́ wa. So ìjọ́ tágo bá ti ṣiṣẹ́ ago inú ilé ẹ̀ ni ó wá wago. Ìyá Bílíkísù ago eléyìí sọ ago 9, eléyìí sọ ago 10 àbọ̀. Problem ti wà nìyẹn. time will tell. Agenda Tinubu, ó máa ṣe fún Yorùbá, kò ní ṣe fún Yorùbá. It's about time. Ó kọ́ wa jẹ́ pé láàrin time yẹn, Fúlàní á pa ẹlòmíì. Economic collapse according to New York Times. New York Times ní the Nigeria ìlú yẹn Nigeria pé ìlú tó ń pè ní Nigeria ó ń confront its worst economic crisis in generation. Tinubu ní ẹ ṣọ́tọ̀ onírọ́lẹ̀ ń pa wọ́n defend irọ́. Tinubu wa náà ṣe mọ̀ pàwọ́ àṣẹ ìdè ni ọmọ tuntun òjò ló rà wá. Àwa kọ́ la wà níbẹ̀ tẹ́lẹ̀. Olórí burúkú Fúlàní tí mo kówó fún pé kó wọlé kó lè tún kan ṣe ló lọ kó àwọn jihadists wá. Ṣé Tinubu máa stop insecurity? Ẹnu ẹ̀ ní gbogbo àjọ wa yẹn. Máa sọ pé they play. Èmi náà play. Gbogbo àjọ ń play ni. We will all understand. But oríjọ́ tí o bá wo aago ẹ tó stop lọ change battery á down padà. Whether Tinubu will fulfill those your promises, it will be between now and 2027. Nobody knows what could happen between now and then. After 2031. Whatever Tinubu needs to do, he needs to do it now. Because wọ́n darí pé kó lè mú ìjọba ẹ̀ wálẹ̀. Oh yes, the Northerners are not comfortable. We might not like Tinubu, but I've told you, in secret, in the public, èmi ò gbàdúrà. Kódà mo sì sọ lọ́dọ̀ wà látàlánà. Mo ní mi ò ever gbàdúrà. Because the moment tó bá kú ojú Shettima lẹ́ máa rí. Ṣé rí pé àrí Shettima nísìn? The only time you will see Shettima is when they open the new residency for the VP. See, Shettima is happy that Mumu Nigerians, Eshegoni Kome George Akinola, that Mumu Nigerians, this is what Shettima have to let you know through one video that was sent to me by one of my uncle.
Yesterday, I was reading the Vice President's statement when he was commissioning the 21 billion naira so-called resident for Vice President. And a part of that speech provoked me.
Why?
Where he said that the provision of a suitable residence for the Vice President was not merely a matter of convenience, but a symbol of respect for the office and the individuals who occupy it. Politicians were...
So, Shettima wants to live a life that they did not allow Osibajo to live. In terms of we might not like Osibajo, he's still a Yoruba man. I might call him short man devil. He's still a Yoruba man. Ṣé kò jẹ́ kí Osibajo parí resident yẹn? So are you saying that Osibajo cannot use the government to fund 21 billion and complete that same residency? Tolori Buruku Shettima will complete in the because he wants to live life and they are praying that Tinubu will buy. So that when Tinubu buy, we can see his face more. There is fire on the mountain. Let everybody continue to live in denial. It is too late for restructuring. Any Yoruba man or woman, any Yoruba son or daughter still talking about restructuring kò nífẹ̀ẹ́ Nigeria, kò nífẹ̀ẹ́ rìn. But àwọn kan argue, Koiki, it doesn't have to be like that. No, you have your right to talk what you are talking on. We have our own right to. But the only person that they want, we don't need Tinubu to agree with us on Yoruba Nation. Baba Akintoye stated this clearly. If he does, it's for his own benefit. If he doesn't, it doesn't stop us. But if Tinubu does not give you a restructured Nigeria that as you want, because time, Ago. Buhari started in 2015. Kurukere. Ó wọlé olówó. Ó wọlé aláwo. Kurukere. Bó ṣe ń lọ ló ń ṣe kurukere. Buhari wèrè. Olórí burúkú olòṣì. Gbogbo ìlú tó ráyè lọ táwọn ọ̀run ẹ̀ lọ. Tó bá ní anywhere. Let Ọ̀ṣínbàjò go. Ọ̀ṣínbàjò. No. Ọ̀ṣínbàjò don't go anywhere. Buhari bọ́ sínú aircraft. Wọ́n rú lọ nìyẹn. Dead or alive. Dead or alive. Because gbogbo bí tí ìran ò dé, he wanted to make sure he get there. You know, Ọ̀ṣínbàjò would have go there, a good presenter, you know, a good motivational talker. He can present everything. It looks very good. No. But they needed Ọ̀ṣínbàjò to counter Tinubu as the election was coming. Ọ̀ṣínbàjò jáde lọ counter Tinubu on our behalf. Òmùgọ̀, òun náà gbẹnu ṣùkùṣùkù. We don't even know what happened. Bí Tinubu gan ló ní kó jáde because all these politicians, they are bastards. Olórí burúkú ni gbogbo yín, ẹ̀ ní ṣoríire. Àwọn alálẹ̀ máa mú gbogbo yín fún ìyà tẹ́ ń fi wá jẹ on behalf of àwọn olórí burúkú, àwọn westerner tí wọ́n ń darí yín. Because your government is controlled from outside. Olórí burúkú ni gbogbo àwọn politicians yìí látòkè dólẹ̀, kò sẹ́ni tó lẹ́mìí Ọlọ́run nínú gbogbo wọn. They are born bastard. Olóṣì ni gbogbo wọn. But ìwọ náà, Kàríkà chef. Ìyẹn kan tẹ́ pè mí lẹ́nu. Ẹ máa lọ bẹ̀. Tí bá lọ́bẹ̀ wá mọ̀ pé ìwọ náà wá slot. Ṣé àwọn tó wà ní UK àti America, ṣé slot lọ fi lọ sí Saudi Arabia? Bọ́m tí ní kí n máa bóyin wọn. Ìwọ náà wá slot. Ṣé o mọ̀ pé tó bá ṣiṣẹ́ tó lówó lọ́wọ́, wà lọ hajj, wà lọ sin Ọlọ́run fún rẹ̀. O need the government slot. Àwọn ọmọ Asian ní bíbá. Ṣé UK government máa fáwọn èèyàn ní slot ṣá? Àwọn Asian tó yẹ pé wọ́n ní business káàkiri. Ìgbà tí mo lọ sọ́dọ̀ wà látàlánà, ó ní company kan tí mo rí. Àwọn yẹn ti hijack gbogbo oúnjẹ Africa mọ́ wa lọ́wọ́. Wọ́n ń pè wọ́n ní TRS. Ìgbà tó yẹ pé àwa ti sùn. Ẹ bá rí warehouse wọn, gbogbo oúnjẹ àwọn akọ dé bíbá. Wà wá ṣẹ̀rí package ẹ̀. Àwa look like pé branding yẹn ti UK standard ni. Bọ̀bọ́ ṣe ń gbé bọ̀ láfíríkà yẹn, ràkàtà rí kẹta ní. Tó bá gbé débẹ̀ lọ́sẹ̀ máa fi sínú nice sealed, you know, packaging. So that kó lè bá standard Tesco tó ti fẹ́ tà àti ibi tá ti máa lọ rà. We will all get the message. We cannot sit back and allow them to continue without confronting them. Ìyẹn la ṣe ń jáde. Because if we sit back and say, okay, they're talking about restructure Nigeria. Okay, fine. Let's go back to the video. But Mr. Akefakpomuda, he needs Tinubu to push the bill that he has drafted. I am now asking, would President Bola Ahmed Omoluduode, the Jagaban, would he submit the draft? And if he does, will the criminal senators that are taking money that cannot be accounted for, would they now look into it, or they will just sit on it while they associate big artists operating about soon in the boss, so that come about so. If Tinubu even give them the draft to tell them, oh yeah, start working on it, they will sit on it because I want more with Tinubu law. With Tinubu, you are only going to be there for a maximum number of years. Some of those senators, do you remember that senator, that bomb bastard Olori Buruku Fulani, that came to UK? They knew them with senator ni. Kinikan Bakuchu or whatever his name was. Don't be yo ni. Your own father was not taken care of by Nigeria. That man has been in as a senator as far back as 1999. Ṣé mọ̀ pé lọ́dọ̀ tí wọ́n ní North, Gàmbàrí ni wọ́n. ọ̀dọ̀ tiwa ní àwọn senator máa ń ní tough time because wọ́n mọ̀ pé àwa smart, wọ́n mọ̀ pé we are educated, so to convince a Yoruba person to come and vote for Yayi gbọ́dọ̀ gbowó síta torí olórí burúkú ni Yayi ò lè ní. Níbo ló ti rówó tó ń ra Toyota Hiace, tó ń ra patrol van, tó ń ra motorcycle? They are criminals. Ó ṣetán láti mọ́ṣọ́ lórí burúkú ẹ̀ ó tún lọ sí Ìjẹ̀bú East. Òun náà fi di governor lọ́la, but ó kọ́kọ́ gbọ́dọ̀ jẹ́ senator. Just like Buruji Kashamu. Where is Buruji Kashamu now? Died. Kódà kò lè ní hospital tó máa tọ́jú Buruji Kashamu níjẹ̀bú pẹ̀lú gbogbo wẹ̀. Èkó ló ti lọ tọ́jú ẹ̀ before he died. Gbogbo àwọn tó ń fún lówó lé ní àwọn ìyá tó ń sunkún tẹ́ lọ máa ń sunkún bá Buruji Kashamu. Ta ló wá fún yín lówó mọ́ nísìn? À ń sọ̀rọ̀ pé let's have a system that is working, that will automated send your money into your account. O ní láti lọ dọ̀bálẹ̀, o ní láti forí gbálẹ̀, o ní láti beg anybody. Your money comes into your account, you will be accounted for. But ẹ like Kurujagbas. So the North, tí Tinubu fẹ́ gbé draft lọ́ba, in their own constituency, Gàmbàrí làwọn tó ń vote fún wọn. Tó bá ti fún wọn ní túwó. And you know what they are doing for them? They marry, they give them money to go and marry so that they can reproduce. And when they reproduce, all their nonsense reproduction, wàá dump wọn sí Southwest for our own problem to deal with. Àwa wí tán wọ́n ní àwa ta ní knowledge, àwa ò ní wá láǹfààní àti lọ sí the University of Lagos because ní cut off mark. Wọ́n wá ń fìyà jẹ̀wọ́, ìwọ sì wọ́n support this same set of olórí burúkú politicians tó yẹ kẹfòkò kẹfì fọ́ wọn lórí. Tọ́mọ àkọjá ládùúgbò yín kẹ wá àwọn akọ òkúta, àwọn òkúta tẹ́ ń sọ fún ṣẹ̀tánì ní Saudi Arabia kẹ sọ́lù wọn lórí. Ẹ fẹ́ yẹn because ẹ like yẹn. So you expect the North that will know that Tinubu power is limited to certain years. Mongbokbanana will change the system now so that maybe Tinubu can spend extra more years so that then the senator will extra more years. Your senators would not even look at that draft. Wọ́n á kàn ní kó gbé sínú, tó bá ti kàlẹ́ nǹkan, wọ́n á ní kó gbé sẹ́gbẹ̀ẹ́ kan. One in they are Nigerians, like Rotimi Amechi said, they are Nigerians. The moment they do papa, after 3-4 days, they are worrying about the next meal on their table. That is why they can't fight. They've suffered every one of us with food. Because if you're hungry and you don't have the food, how would you have the appetite to fight? You must have the strength. The reason why Tawa needs strength is because Ọlọ́run fi ọwọ́ tiẹ̀ ó fi ń kún wa. Fẹ́yìn Ọlọ́run fọwọ́ kún Nàìjíríà mọ́, ẹ̀yin lẹ ń force ara yín sí Nàìjíríà because Ọlọ́run fúnra rẹ̀ ti sọ pé Nigeria is gone. Whether you agree from the spiritual side or you cannot see it, as the New York Times says that Nigeria confronts its worst economic crisis in generation. But Tinubu wá parọ́ ó ní no, it doesn't work like that. Ká padà sí paper tá ń kà lọ. The presidency ìyẹn lánàá ní on the 17th, no, níjẹta nísìn, on the 16th, níjọ́ ọdún iléyá. Why tí wọ́n wá bó ṣe fẹ́ jẹran ọdún níbi tó ti máa lọ jẹran ọdún lọ́fẹ̀ẹ́? Ṣé púpọ̀ nù iṣẹ́ ẹran ọdún jẹ? Wọ́n bá mi gbé tèmi wá láti London, ẹran díndín mo ní kó gbé dé. Ẹ ṣàrí picture yẹn, àgbo ni mo ní kó gbé wá kó pààkì sí tro. Bí queen náà bọ́ sígbà tí queen kú tán fa àgbo. Àbí wọ́n náà rí. Àbí wọ́n náà rí. Ṣé nígbà tí queen kú ẹ̀rí tó ń mú àgbò dání? Níbo ni ẹ ti ń dúnkẹ́? Kokondo in the background. Don't be deceived by all these criminals. They are not ready to change the system to work. So asking for a restructured Nigeria is a bloody waste of time. They know what they are doing. Now,
yesterday I was reading the vice president's.
Something is speaking at the background there. I need to find out whatever it is. I can hear some sound coming out. There might be. Alright, let's close this. I think it's gone. We've done 2 hours, I can tell, because Instagram has gone twice now. So we're 2 hours. That's what I said. Your expectation that Tinubu, the magician, Abi, calm down, Lawa. 1 year to turn, but in the next 1 year, remember that Tinubu must tell us how $2.5 billion World Bank loan, how it was spent. Let's come back again to this video.
When he was commissioning the 21 billion naira so-called resident for vice president. And a part of that speech provoked me, where he said that the provision of a suitable residence for the vice president was not merely a matter of convenience, but a symbol of respect for the office and the individuals who occupy it. Politicians who have presided over poverty and unemployment and widespread insecurity still want to have respect from the...
Did you hear that? Now break it down for you. Politicians want respect, economy, insecurity, welfare, but they want you to respect them. How? How do you respect people that doesn't have human feelings for the dead, not to talk about the people alive? Because after the EndSARS, someone who was hiding dead body as if it's hiding gold. Gold ni mo mọ̀ tó máa ń tọ́jú bí ìgbà tó yẹ pé get me? Gold. You will protect it and put it. Àwọn ìyá yẹn mọ bó ṣe máa ń tọ́jú ẹ̀. Ìmí máa lọ tọ́jú ẹ̀ sábẹ́ gàrí. Tẹ́ ò ní mọ̀ pé gàrí ló wà ń bẹ̀ gan sẹ́. Wọ́n kàn gbaṣọ lé lórí ni because bí ẹ̀bẹ̀ ló máa protect it. After the EndSARS in 2020, Tinubu was hiding dead bodies. No, Sanwo-Olu. The police came out and said, hey, shut up, Sehu Sani, shut up. Oh. Every EndSARS people, they are no longer in our prison cell. Was it not last year that one of the girls gave birth during the EndSARS? She gave birth. She gave birth because they've forgotten about her. I believe it was last year, not 2 years ago. So politicians want us to talk to them and say, hey, sorry, sir. Even quand on m'a fait quelque chose fún wọn ni kò ní dá fún gbogbo wọn ní ṣoríire. Àwọn alálẹ̀ máa mú gbogbo àwọn tí ilẹ̀ Yorùbá. Mo wá mọ̀ bí àwọn alálẹ̀ lè bá wa mú àwọn tí tọ̀hún yẹn torí pé ẹ mọ̀ pé èdè wọn àti ẹ̀yà ó yàtọ̀. Kò tí bá ní ká alálẹ̀ bá mi mọ́ àwọn tó wà ní north. Alálẹ̀ wa lè máa mọ̀ pé èdè kan náà kọ́ lájọ ń sọ. Bọ̀ṣẹ́rẹ́ ti southwest àwọn alálẹ̀ máa mú gbogbo yín. Gbogbo generation yín àti tó jáde lára yín alálẹ̀ àfi tó bá jẹ́ pé àníyàn yín fúnran Yorùbá àníyàn tó dání. Tó o bá ń ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ gbogbo yín pátá látòkè délẹ̀ àwọn alálẹ̀ máa wọlé, wọ́n á mú yín, ní tó bá wọn alálẹ̀ ni kó ṣe fún yín, látòrí ọmọ ni, látòrí aya yín ni, torí pé ìkà nìyí. àwọn tó wà nílé ṣetán ní yunifásitì, àtọbìnrin àtọkùnrin, create the enabling environment to take them to the future. Future will answer. The future that they can at least start planning their lives. I met a guy yesterday. He's from Ecuador. Èmi ò tẹ́ mọ̀ pé Ecuador dọ́là ló ná nílùú yẹn. Òun ló wá sọ fún mi pé they were in bad debt some years back. Èyí tó jẹ́ kóun àtàwọn parent òun sá kúrò lẹ́yìn Ecuador ni tó fi relocate wá sí UK. Mọ́tò tó wà tí mo rí nídìí ẹ̀ is a BM. Ó náà ń save owó fún ni tó ń fi rà. It cost him £10,000. Òun àti ìyàwó ẹ̀. Wọ́n lọ́mọ kan, ọmọ kékeré. Ó ti ní mortgage tiẹ̀ tó ń san. Tí bá wo age ẹ̀, probably just going into 30. This is what we feel fẹ́yìn tí ẹ̀ ń sọ pé orí mi ò pé kí n máa bọ̀ nílé kí n wá lead yín, àbí kó má bàa kú, kí ìyà má bàa jẹ́, so kí n wá lé kí n wá lead ẹ̀, so kémi fi ẹni tí mo ṣe sílẹ̀ níbi tí ìyá tèmi rí future pé kò sí future fún mi tó fà mí kúrò níbẹ̀ ní 24 years ago, màá wá fi future tí mo enjoy níbí báyìí màá wá mú kúrò, màá wá máa bọ̀ ní Nàìjíríà torí pé kí wọ́n má bàa kú nígbà tí mò ń sọ fún ẹ ní 3 years ago ṣe ló sọ pé orí mi ò pé, ṣe mọ̀ pé yẹn ló dá nísìn. Come on leaders, mo ti rí yàn kan tó sọ bẹ́ẹ̀ nísìn, bọ̀ mo ti gbá ìyá ìdànù kúrò lórí program. Máa sọ pé kí wọ́n á lead ẹ̀, mò ń bọ̀ sẹ́, mo ti dé tán. Èmi ò ní bú yín mọ́sẹ̀, mo fẹ́ bú yín ní bọ́tì. Mo sì mi bẹ̀ mí gan pé kí n jọ pé náà. Bọ̀ mò ń bọ̀. Èmi ni kò máa dúró dé o. Bí èmi ni mo sọ fún pẹ́rẹ́ǹtì tiẹ̀ kọ́ máa ní kí wọ́n náà jápa. So ara wa ń tàwọ̀ pé torí mi ń sọ̀rọ̀ láti UK. So ara wọn sọ yẹn, so kí wọ́n wá lé kájọ máa ṣe ìzọ̀bú àbí. Àwọn kan tẹ̀ máa nígbà tí mo wálé bí n tẹ̀ wálé rárá. Èyí tí mò ń sọ níbí báyìí, òun ni New York Times sọ tí wọ́n ní value lé lórí. Ṣo mọ̀ pé nísìnyí New York Times sọ̀rọ̀, wọ́n respond sí New York Times. Tó bá jẹ́ pé wọ́n náà bá mi pín ètò mi, tó ń lọ drop ẹ̀ sáwọn church member yín kó ń jù síbẹ̀, tó wọ́n náà ń drop ẹ̀ sáwọn mọ́ṣáláṣí, àwọn oníṣẹ̀ṣe, tó ń send ẹ̀ sáwọn ọ̀rẹ́ ẹ̀, bí ó ṣe é ṣe kí President Tinubu ti respond sọ̀rọ̀ tèmi náà pé Koiki tó ní economy Nàìjíríà máa collapse. Because in tí New York Times ń sọ, èmi ti ń sọ látọdún mẹ́ta. 3 years mo fi ń pariwo ẹ̀, or 3.5 years níbí báyìí náà ni. The economy yìí ẹrántí Prophet Adépọ̀jù, ìyẹn wà lórí laptop wa. Ó ní Margaret Thatcher ní Nigerian economy ní 1983. Mo kí ẹ gbogbo ẹ̀yin tẹ́ wà lórí ètò, ẹ má kí n dárúkọ yẹn kankan kó má dàbí pé ojúṣe ẹ ṣe. Gbogbo náà la máa láǹfààní àti kí. Torun bá ń kó ẹ lọ sùn. Wọ́n sọ pé báwo la fi parí program, èmi ni máa sọ bá ti máa parí ẹ̀. Ìbínú ilé mi ni mo wà. Mo dẹ̀ lọ report duty for anybody láàárọ̀ ọ̀la. Èmi ni kò máa sọ pé kí wọ́n á lead, mò ń bọ̀ sẹ́, mo ti tẹ̀ tán. Ìntẹ́ máa fi lead ara yín, tí bá ti rí, èmi náà dé bá yín nísàlẹ̀. Ọ̀fẹ́ ibi pa wá, ọ̀fíṣẹ́ mú wa, ọmọ 30 years old. ó save owó béèrè pé Koiki iṣẹ́ ọlọ́mọ yẹn wá ń ṣe nígbà covid, nínú covid yẹn tí covid bẹ̀rẹ̀ ló bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ṣiṣẹ́ post office Sunday, ó máa ń ṣe Sundays. mo béèrè tí ìyàwó ẹ̀ ń ṣe kó má dàbí ìgbà tí yàn wá inclusive lọ́pọ̀ yẹn kí n máa béèrè what's your wife then náà mo béèrè yẹn, but òun náà jápa, òun tẹ̀kọ́ ló jápa, àwọn parent tiẹ̀ náà ló jápa tó fi bí òun sí bíbá ó kàwé díẹ̀ because ìwọ́tọ́ sórí àwa tá a dé tá a níwèé èyí tó yìnbó ṣe fún wa sórí yẹn lásán tí mo sọ pé ká gba Yorùbá nation ó jẹ́ kára máa tàwọ̀ but ara ò ní tẹ́ torí ó fi jápa wá tú wa bọ̀ mí bàbá àṣà wà látà ẹ̀ máa bọ̀ wálé ní kí má máa sọ fún yín pé kẹ́ ẹ má wá èmi rìn tẹ̀sán fún yàn kọ́kọ́ máa wá ẹ̀ máa bọ̀ gbogbo àjọ máa gbé bíbá yẹn ẹ bá ṣáà ti dé pẹ̀lẹ́pẹ̀lẹ́ o pẹ̀lẹ́pẹ̀lẹ́ ó dọwọ́ gbogbo wa o má nà ìyàwó ẹ̀ nulẹ̀ o má bá jà o pẹ̀lẹ́pẹ̀lẹ́ dọwọ́ gbogbo wa o torí pé ìwọ ló ní Nàìjíríà ọ̀dà wàá sì máa jẹun ní bíbá mo gbóúnjẹ gan wa látọ̀dọ̀ wa látàlá náà kò ṣe pé mo lóúnjẹ ńlẹ̀ mo ní ẹ bá mi bóúnjẹ mo oúnjẹ lọ́lẹ̀. New York Times lè fẹ́ gbọ́rọ̀ sí lẹ́nu àbí mo ní Ọ̀ṣínbàjò ṣe ọdún 8 kò parí rẹ́sídẹ́ǹsì tó yẹ kó gbé bí àwọn wò pé 21 billion nínú ẹkọ́nọ́mì Nàìjíríà tó ti dẹ́ẹ̀dì olórí burúkú Ṣètìmá mọ̀ ní bó Tinubu mọ̀ pé yàn ti wà ní kí má nà lórí burúkú Tinubu bọ̀ Ṣètìmá lórí burúkú ni torí òun ló fi gbé níbẹ̀ Ṣètìmá ló máa fa ìpọ́n Tinubu lámáa rá nísàlẹ̀ pé tó o bá fún mi ní rẹ́sídẹ́ǹsì tí máa gbé máa fọ́ ẹpọ̀n ẹ̀ in tó máa ṣe fún Tinubu nìyẹn ní Tinubu yẹ ẹ lòṣì Gàmbàrí ẹ kówó fún kó ṣàlọ́ parí ẹ̀ ọwọ́ ayọ̀ 21 billion nínú kòsíkòsí wọ́n yọ 21 billion wọ́n lọ fi parí ilé kò nílé tó ń gbé tẹ́lẹ̀ olórí burúkú ọmọ mọ́là àwọn ọmọ bọ́ ṣe ń jayé jìbó mùgọ̀lá wa ìyẹn lọ́ ṣe bà gbogbo sector jẹ́ mò ń gbọ́ prophet Tibetan èyí tó ṣe ní 12 star bí ọ̀sán yìí lọ́ ṣe àbọ̀sán àná gbogbo sector pátá Haúsá Fúlàní ló wà níbẹ̀ tó o bá gbá Haúsá o lè wọ government college school tó o bá gbá Haúsá o lè ní àwọn position bí anísìn tí Tinubu débẹ̀ ṣá tó ń yọ 2 mẹ́ta ó yà fi Ìgbò kan síbẹ̀ fi Yorùbá 4 sí náà kò bá kó gbogbo Ìgbò síbẹ̀ a kó Ìgbò síbẹ̀ á jẹ́ kó jẹun lẹ́sẹ̀ ọmọ Yorùbá ló máa kó síbẹ̀ but ẹ rántí pé tí Tinubu bá ṣe tán ìwọ náà tètè jí nǹkan tó fẹ́ jí níbẹ̀ torí pé tí Tinubu bá ti ṣe tán ọmọ àyọ̀wọ̀ náà sórí gbogbo àwọn tí Tinubu ń yọ yẹn Tinubu wá ń dùn yẹn táwọn rí tó ń fi Yorùbá sí yẹn is ago time. Àwọn tí ẹ̀ ń fìyà jẹ àwọn tẹ̀ ń ní lára ẹ wá ń gbàdúrà pé kó ṣàdúrà fún yín wọn ò ní ṣàdúrà fún yín èpè lẹ́ máa gbà bọ̀yìn tí yà ń jẹ yẹn ẹ̀yin ẹ̀ lọ́ní ká ṣe fi sílẹ̀ ká má fún lépè mọ́ àwọn ọ̀dẹ̀ ní ṣépè fún àwọn ọba wa ọba tó bá tí ì dá sí ọba Bariga mo bá wọn sọ̀rọ̀ ní last week ó ti fún mi nọ́mbà wọn nísìn ẹ̀rántí ọba tó ní gbogbo ìdílé òun ti gbowó làwọn ṣe tó lọ síbà ọ̀dọ̀ àwọn bàbá Èkìtì lẹ́kìtì mọ́ èmi náà ti ní nọ́mbà wọn lọ́wọ́ nísìn wọn á pè wọn á sọ̀rọ̀ wọn ní Koiki ẹ̀yin máa báṣẹ́ lọ lórí social media ṣẹ́rí ìtókò ẹ̀ filẹ̀ fáwa káwọn bá wọn àwọn ọba tí kò tí because àwọn ọba yẹn rò pé bí a fẹ́ ṣe kú ni bí a fẹ́ gbà kú ìjọba lọ́wọ́ Buhari olórí burúkú àwọn ń ṣe military dictator self-determination a lot of things ò yá àwọn ọba yẹn náà ẹ má blame wọn mọ̀ pé àwọn ìbò ló kó apapọ̀ but wọ́n àwọn kọ̀ rò pé bàtà jáde yẹn pé ẹ má dàlúrú ẹ̀yàn ọmọ yẹn dàlúrú àwọn ń ṣe dàlúdàlúrú but a máa gbẹ̀tọ̀ wa but ìta máa fi gbẹ̀tọ̀ wa òun là ń bá lọ yìí awareness ni a máa nà yín lẹ́gbàá máa ń mọ àwọn awareness tí máa ṣe á ju èbú lọ nísìn bí èmi ló máa kanra mọ́ ni àbí gọ́fìmẹ̀ntì tó ní ẹ lára tó fẹ́ ní kí n máa bọ̀ kí wọ́n á lè dìbà báyìí mo tẹ̀sọ́ ní mò ní bóyá mọ́ mo ń bọ̀ wá lédi yín. bí wọ́n gbà tí mọ̀mísí mi lé mi kúrò Nàìjíríà pé kí n máa bọ̀ ní bíbá, wọ́n ní kí wọ́n á ṣe student union. Nígbà tí mo ní mo fẹ́ wọ Unilag, mọ̀mísí mi ní náà ò lọ Unilag, mò ń ṣe Ṣòwòrẹ́ ló lọ sí Unilag tó ní òun ṣe student union. Wọ́n ní tó bá máa ṣe student union, wá ṣe student union ní London ní bíbá. Àwa gbé Yorùbá nation dání, àwa jọ ń kọ́ra wa lẹ́kọ̀ọ́ ní ìdánilẹ́kọ̀ọ́. Látàrí ẹ̀yin kan tún lọ dìbò ní 2023, ẹ tún lọ dìbò ní 2027. kọ́lọ́n jẹ́ kí 2027 kò hold bí nǹkan ṣe ń lọ yìí, Ọlọ́run jẹ́ kó lè hold. Ibẹ̀ ní mo fi dà lóru, èmi máa ti gbowó la fi dà Nàìjíríà rú. Nàìjíríà, New York Times jẹ́ nǹkan tí New York Times sọ fún ẹ, o lè má gbọ́ òyìnbó tó sọ, ìyẹn mo ṣe ń ṣàlàyé ẹ̀ látẹ̀ǹkan. Wákàtí méjì nísìn 28 pounds tó bá yẹ pé mo wà ní night job dẹ̀ máa san owó tó dáa. Àwọn tó bá lọ ṣe night, wọ́n fún wọn ní basic, wọ́n máa ń increase ẹ̀ bàbí 3 pounds, wọ́n lè ní kó gba 15 pounds torí iṣẹ́ alẹ́ ló le jù. Torí ó mọ̀ pé bí ìṣesùn nísìn, ara máa nìyàn, ara ó ṣe ra máa ṣe ẹ́ bó tẹ̀ sùn gan lọ́sàn, because wọ́n expect pé kí body ẹ̀ kó sùn tílẹ̀ bá ti ṣú, kí gbogbo àwọn organs ẹ̀ lè máa ṣiṣẹ́ padà, àwọn àrùn yẹn kó lè settle down. Ìwọ wá wà nínú ooru ní 63 years. Wọ́n wá náwọn kan band A, wọ́n fún yín níná, àwa máa jó ṣúkú. Mo pe àwọn family mi, mo ní ẹ̀tàn air condition Dubai wọ́n máa ń tàn sùn ni. Ó wá ń ṣe jìgìjìgì nínú ooru, ó ń ṣe jìgìjìgì. Ṣé kí n fi gbogbo ẹnu sọ àbí? 63 years. Àwọn wá ń kọ́lé, wọ́n ní wọ́n vice president residency. Ẹ jẹ́ àgbọ́n tàlàyé sọ. Gbogbo fídíò ẹ̀ mọ̀ fún nǹkan fẹ́ díẹ̀díẹ̀, kákọ̀ jẹ́ náà díẹ̀díẹ̀ ni. 3 hours náà ni. Ẹ ṣe sùúrù díẹ̀, ó ti fẹ́ tán. Màá wá kí gbogbo yín tẹ̀sí wà lórí ètò. But máa tẹ̀sí yín lójú o. Máa tẹ̀sí yín lójú. Wo tó bá fẹ́ darí ẹ̀ mọ́ pálí, máa tẹ̀sí yín lójú. Ṣòro àwọn fídíò kan wà nísìnyí tí mo fẹ́ máa ṣe lẹ́nu ọjọ́ mẹ́ta, ìyẹn ló ń pè ní tẹ̀sí yín lójú. Ṣòro àbí àti wọn náà bá rá àwọn fídíò máa pẹ́, irú life oní Koiki ń gbé yìí. Yorùbá nation ní kí n má gbé life mi ni, ṣèbí mo ní life tí mo ń gbé tẹ́lẹ̀. Tẹ̀sí yín lójú. Irú àwọn fídíò tí mò ń ṣe lẹ́nu ọjọ́ mẹ́ta yẹn, tẹ̀sí yín lójú ni. Ṣòro kó lè mọ̀ pé àwọn tí wọ́n hold wa padà, àwọn òyìnbó amúnisìn, táwọn plan future fáwọn ọmọ wọn, tó ń plan future fáwọn ọ̀ràn wọn, tí bàbá Akíntóyè ní ẹjẹ́ àjọ plan future yìí, ẹ̀takú bí àṣà táwọn èdè tá máa ń lò ní àtakú bíi fáànì Yíbò. Kódà fáànì Yorùbá gan ti takú lọ́wọ́ yìí. Ẹja gbọ́n tàlàyé sọ.
The citizens that they have pauperized. It doesn't matter to these politicians that over 60 million Nigerians on the brink of starvation. It doesn't matter to them that thousands.
Ní sùúrù. Àwọn òyìnbó tẹ máa ń sọ ẹ ti pọ̀ jù. Báwo ló ṣe jẹ́ 60 million? We are 200 million. Only 60 million in starvation. Gbogbo èèyàn ló wà in starvation. Bob D gan gbóhùn síta ní ibi 3 months ago kan ni. Ó ní gbogbo ẹ̀ tẹ́ ń tọrọ owó lọ́wọ́ òun. Ó kọ episode rẹpẹtẹ, ẹ̀gbọ́n mi dáadáa. Ó kọ episode pé kí ló dé? Bóun bá tẹ̀ ń kó gbogbo owó yìí fún yín. Bó ṣe ń wọlé jáde. Wàláì, mọ́mì mi kan ní ń dẹ̀rọ̀ pé Canada ló wà. Ẹ mọ̀ pé nọ́mbà Amẹ́ríkà àti Canada 001 ó máa ń confuse mi, so ìgbà míì mo ti lọ save wọn as Canada bàtà wá pè. Wọ́n ní Mr. Koiki, àwọn ọ̀rẹ́ náà ni àwọn dẹ̀ ti send message lọ sí àwọn fún mi ní kankan, kí n sọ ìtọ́ fún mi, kí ni ẹ̀ ní ṣe pẹ̀lú wọ. Wọ́n dẹ̀ wá share receipt yẹn. Wàláì tàláì sí máa bẹ̀ owó tó send mo ti disburse ẹ̀ kí n tó mẹ́ni tó fún mi lówó. That is how bad the situation is. Joe expect kí n convert náírà wá sí pounds mi, kò lè pé mi. Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni tó bá fẹ́ mi náà, èmi náà máa já díẹ̀díẹ̀ fáwọn family mi lé. Owó tó fún mi yẹn, ẹni tó fún mi lówó mo ti disburse. Ní mo ṣe ń bá wọn sọ, ọ lè máa gbọ́ program báyìí. Ni mo wá ń dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ wọn pé ṣé mà. That is how bad the situation is. Bó ṣe ń wọlé ló ń jáde. Bó ṣe ń wọlé ló ń jáde. Àwọn ọ̀dẹ̀ jalè, àdẹ̀ ṣe drugs. ṣòwárà àwọn tó máa ń deceive yín ṣòrí pọ́ jẹ́ẹ̀lì ọmọ nàìjà kan níjọ́ ní ọmọ yorùbá ni mo post ẹ̀ àwọn big boys ní London ló ń ṣe drugs gbogbo yín ọlọ́pàá máa mú yín láìpẹ́ torí ẹ̀yin lẹ̀ ń sọ fáwọn tó wà nílé pé kọ́ ṣọ̀tọ̀ kọ́ yé máa gbọ́ Koikimedia ẹ lọ àtà ọ̀dọ̀ Kẹ́mi Olúlọ́yọ̀ ọ̀dọ̀ Kẹ́mi mo ti gbọ́ pé wọ́n náà máa ń sanwó fẹ̀yìn kan iṣẹ́ tí ní pé kẹ́ wá attack platform yẹn kẹ́ bring it down àbí bẹ́ẹ̀ kọ́ no problem bọ̀ má tẹ̀sí lójú o ṣẹjá agbọ́ntàláyé ìsọ̀tàn mo kí ẹ lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí brother mi Idris Abdulkareem ó gbà sí fún gbogbo wọn ó gbà sí fún bàbá Adébóyè ó gbà sí fún wọn ó gbà sí fún Tinubu gbà sí fẹ́ni ìwé eléyìí tún ju jagajaga lọ ṣe rántí pé Ọbásanjọ́ mo ti rí Tinubu ìyàwó ẹ̀ àbájọ tó Ọbásanjọ́ ṣe dé fìlà Tinubu ṣé kò ń ṣe pé ntẹ́bi àìgbé wa ó fi ṣí fáìlì Ọbásanjọ́ nìyẹn o bìkọ́ mo rí fídíò kan tí Ọbásanjọ́ wọ fìlà bíi Tinubu tóun náà dé fìlà bíi Tinubu báyìí ẹbí àwa sí Nàìjíríà Ọbásanjọ́ dé fìlà Tinubu wọ́n ní àjẹké lánàá ọmọ kó lé mi Ọbásanjọ́ tó wá pé ìyàwó Tinubu pé kó wá mo mọ̀ pé mo láìkì Tinubu bọ̀ má jẹ́ kó ṣí fáìlì mi nǹkan tó bá ṣí fáìlì yẹn nǹkan tó máa bá ń bẹ̀ ò ní dáa Nàìjíríà ìlú yẹn ṣé mọ̀ pọ́n ní ìyàwó Tinubu lọ sábẹ́kúta ó lọ kí Ọbásanjọ́ tí Ọbásanjọ́ ń ṣe ìdì ni Ọbásanjọ́ kì í ṣe Muslim kì í ṣe Christian babaláwo ni gbogbo Christianity yẹn FBI wá sí Nàìjíríà ó gbé fáìlì kan wá báyìí fáìlì yẹn tó yìí akọ̀ọ́rí fáìlì ẹni bá àmọ́ tó kọ sínú ẹ̀ Tinubu ò dẹ̀ jẹ́ ká rí ó ní classify ni mo kí gbogbo ẹ̀yin ará Ìjẹ̀bú jàre èèmọ̀ ẹwà ibi tí mo gbọ́dé náà nìyẹn ẹ ṣáà ń rí kọ̀kọ́rẹ́ jẹ lẹ́nujọ́ mẹ́ta FBI director wá sí Nàìjíríà gbé fáìlì wa àbí fáìlì Tinubu tán ní gbogbo tó ṣe l'Amẹ́ríkà lọ gbé wá pé àbó ti gbàgbé ní tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ ní kọ́kọ́ release àwọn Binance yẹn fún wa náà ká máa máwọn yẹn padà lọ sí Amẹ́ríkà wọ ọ̀ṣẹ́ náà a kò gbọ́ pé the Binance director has been released ẹ wá mú Nnamdi Kanu sí ìyẹn kan wá ní Koiki má sọ̀rọ̀ àwọn Biafra o má sọ̀rọ̀ àwọn Biafra o program mi lẹ máa lọ gbọ́ ẹ̀yin kọ́ lẹ máa dẹnu mi pé kí n má sọ̀rọ̀ Biafra ẹ fi Nnamdi Kanu sínú prison ẹ release àwọn Binance ẹ wá náà wá peace nínú Nàìjíríà gbogbo àjọ máa rí peace yẹn I don't understand what everybody means by that what he release ẹ mọ̀ pé kan sá ṣe mọ̀ pé kan sá lọ́nà òfin lọ kírun ṣe mọ̀ pé there were two the Binance executive one ìyẹn jápa àbí wọn náà ṣe kéèsì yẹn tó máa fi gbé padà bọ̀wọ̀ ìtì gbé padà so kí ló dé tó ṣe kéèsì Nnamdi Kanu tó fi gbé padà tó fi kidnap ẹ̀ wá so again àjẹké lánàá ọmọkùnlé ni director FBI do you know what it means for a whole director of the FBI láti fi America tó wá sísàlẹ̀ all these things has meaning àwọn kan ní bí American based of gbé sí Nàìjíríà ni I don't know ìyẹn mo ṣe sọ pé your country is being controlled from outside mo kí àtó gbèmí lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí we are just 26 minutes ká tó bọ́ ṣe sùúrù then I appreciate gbogbo yín ká tó lọ sùn so let's move swiftly because of the time 2 o'clock.
Thousands of small businesses have folded up and that millions of young people are desperate and hopeless. To these politicians, you are not empowered citizens with rights. You are merely helpless subjects who should be grateful for the scraps that they dish out to you. But they forget that economic stagnation and starvation would always radicalize citizens and breed extremism. That's why you see the preponderance of violence across our country.
That's why you see the rise of non-state actors everywhere across Nigeria. They forget that the people who have nothing to lose will have no other option but to revolt. That's why every day you are in traffic now in Lagos, you have people trying to pull away your side mirror to break your windscreen just to get something out of you. And people who have nothing to lose will have no fear revolting. How can you have a country where there is over 40% of food inflation and the priority of the elite class is to be funding white elephant projects that add no value whatsoever to the Nigerian people? Yet they have kept tariffs high on the importation of food. The Lagos State government last week cut off the 25% subsidy on public transportation, even though it has now more revenue after petrol subsidy was ostensibly removed. They can't even subsidize 25% of public transportation. Subhana Allah, Subhana Anabi. Subhanallah, Subhana Allah, Subhana Anabi. They cannot even subsidize 25% of public transportation. Yet they ride on the latest SUVs. Governors in 3 months have spent 34 billion on local and international travel. Okay. 34 billion. Okay. They have spent 5.1 billion on refreshments in just 3 months. Okay. These are the elite class that want you to continue tightening your belt for them, that want you to show them respect. Okay. We're in trouble.
No, we're not in trouble.
It's why I tell young people, you have no business bothering about what, the generations of your cookers see on television. Why are you bothered about that? It's your future that's on the line. You don't need affirmation from a political class that has failed you. That have mortgaged your future. You don't need affirmation from any generation.
What is it for you? Please. Having headache. Affirmation. Òyìnbó yẹn ti pọ̀ jù. But ìtò yà wá. Ẹ jẹ́ ká wá gbọ́ ìtò yà wá. Ilé tó ń sọ yẹn.
Brothers are saying, don't blame them. Igbos are being discriminated. Even food don't turn to gold in Nigeria. Kidnapping, lucrative business in Nigeria. Imagine saying your grandchildren when they kidnap. By now, your soldiers for those scatter Nigeria. How come a man won't get money for ransom when they kidnap him, his wife and his children? After everything, now they will kill them. See, as Naira, they fall against dollar. Emi Loko, don't turn to Emi Loko. And you say make we sacrifice for Nigeria. 7 billion to renovate your residence, 15 billion for your traveling allowance. That's not for you and your only vice president. 40 billion for Asurok maintenance, 5 billion for food and refreshments, 100 of millions for dogs and animals. Meanwhile, hunger they kill Nigerians. What did Nigerians do to warrant this treatment? Even Gary, they don't be afford for the family. Tinubu government blame Buhari. Buhari government blame Jonathan. People they die. This one don't pass jaga jaga.
I remember Obasanjo say, "It's your father's house that will be jaga jaga." How is Tinubu going to respond to this? We don't know yet. That is that. Let's move swiftly. This man says something. I got to go again. I think there's 2 of them. I think this one is the one that is loud. But might be no. see how far Tinubu will fulfill those promises. Let's go back to the last video, then I will start winding down. This was by Mr. Akin Fakbomuda. Nigeria will be in trouble. Don't quote me, I beg. Because tell it, hey, Koiki o ti sọ pé kò ní selection o, hey, wọn àtìyàwó àtàwọn ọmọ ẹ̀ abroad lọ́wọ́ o, ẹ bá wa pé o. Stop that nonsense now. Don't take me as the responsible for that anymore. Mr. Akin Fakbomuda says, and I quote, Nigeria will be in trouble in 2027 if restructuring is not prioritized. Let's listen to
passage. What I did was to articulate the features of what should be in a restructured Nigeria, put it to a document, and forward it as a suggestion to the president of Nigeria, because he's the only one sitting on the throne now. It's now left to him to really go deep into a sense of nationalism and patriotism, to do something about it, because thinking of second term or whatever time it is, the country is bleeding profusely. There's a news yesterday about government having borrowed $4.5 billion. This administration alone. We are borrowing money to service bureaucracy. 36 states of consumption. 774 local governments of profligacy. There is no money to do anything serious for the masses again. So the country has to look at what is restructuring. You want to change the system for efficiency, for resource, for good management of resources.
You see, when these are our elite, we want to change the system for efficiency. These people they know now, they don't want any efficiency. They want it dead. They don't want any efficiency. So, Babawa, Mr. Akin Fakbomuda, thanks you for pushing through, but I don't think Tinubu wants any such. Even if Tinubu wants it, the criminals in the north that are supporting the evil government does not want such. So if you're one of those thinking that anything great will come out from these criminal politicians, you will wait for a very long time. Very, very long time. So what we should be talking about now is to finally say enough is enough. Nigeria is no longer, the center is no longer holding. I'm looking for one particular video to add to this, and then okay, I think it's this one.
Most of the leaders of the 1983 elections were those same people who said that they were going to kill Abiola. I don't understand how David Mark became the Senate president and we're saying we're the democracy. Or Abdul Salam can come and talk about, he's talking about peace, peaceful elections. What does he not understand about peaceful elections? People have died in this 30 years. We're talking Abiola children who could not do or buy medicine just to take care of themselves. This is sad. The Abiola family were not that much because people are thinking that we're only 55. So when my father was alive, he was paying for 103 children to go to school. But like I said, none of them were. So after the blood test, we happened to be 55. Are you in a good relationship with Kola? The last time I saw him, he said, and I will quote his words, "Do I want to do fire for fire?" And I asked him, "Fire for fire, I wonder how he thought he could be president. You cannot manage Abiola Empire. How do you want to manage Nigeria?" He could have been a voice. He could have been a strong voice of true democratic values. He could have. He chose not to. Apparently, at the time, my father was still in jail. He was having relations with Babangida daughter. So you're still willing to push? We are going.
When their father was in the prison, Kola, the elder son of the late MK Abiola, was doing jiggy jiggy with Babangida daughter. They play. You better come with Igboho and Babakitoye. They want force. Can't push it, and we go our separate ways. Did you hear what I say? Some of Abiola's children, they could not afford to buy medicine. Can you imagine that somebody will tell you that Abiola's children will be struggling to buy medicine? Ogun Tomalo, I was sick. So the one that would have been the voice for everybody, not just the Abiola's family. I'm talking about that Olori Kori, Olori Bruko Mali, don't put Nicola Abiola, that another bomb bastard. Because he's a remember, he was the one telling Yoruba people that which Yoruba nation we will save them. So we now know from another Abiola son that had an interview with Seun Okinbaloye on the podcast that Kola Abiola was doing jiggy jiggy while their father was in the prison held by Babangida. He was doing jiggy jiggy with Babangida's daughter. And look at Yoruba people. They were more Yoruba. As people. Everybody just want to chop. Go and look at the same thing with Awolowo children. Maybe one or two of them are okay. Awotoku, appointment there from the government. So me and you, are the one that will free ourselves. If you're expecting anything from all these, individuals, that is how we are going to wait and wait and wait. Ben Yami comfortably say, I just pray that they won't kill him very heartless people. Benny, Babe, one, I was reading, something was posted on Igboho's Day WhatsApp group. Mukiyawa Jene Fashaki Akusheta Kuntakuma. Talonot is Susan Wright. Susan Wright was the one that was there on the day MK Abiola passed out. Tono Muti ko Muti. Ti no la wana money London is in Kolon ko shanu. Ni wa koko Muti kakiri. Hello Muti. In a new biography, she denied it, that she did not poison Abiola. Susan Wright. Susan Wright. She was then the most top US diplomat that came to speak to Abiola, and the same day, Abiola died. I was reading the write-up that was posted on Igboho's Day. Shere Kintomalo ni Ogojo Rui, because it's midnight. We are free already, but we are just not taking the battle to take the control. The three of us that have dedicated our lives, shows that we are ready to take the battle. So we are already free. Nobody can talk about Nigeria to me and then convince me as Abu Mukoyoni. That does not stop you as a diaspora going home. Yes, you can still go home, have fun, enjoy yourself. If you have anything you're doing there and calling it, don't stop all that. Yoruba Nation hasn't asked you to stop all that project that you're doing at home. What we are just saying is that the Yoruba Nation wants to have a full, autonomous, independent country away from Nigeria. So don't look at Nigeria and say Yoruba Nation. You can cut off from Nigeria. No, don't cut off. But just prepare your mind that what would it entail? Because everybody then brings something. So that is how we will all become involved. Moki Dr. Mumi, in America. Mommy wine that normally does a video on YouTube about 20 minutes. The American government will still know what if it told you only bit have cost about $1 million. She will not survive if she comes to Nigeria within a week. Not that Nigeria doesn't have the money to take care of every one of us, but they are just self-centered. They are not interested in taking care of the citizen because the foundation of Nigeria does not explain that citizen should be taken care of. So we are just struggling, Moka Bobo Comanche crime story on YouTube. How a young boy from Abia end up to get to Pakistan. I want to know what train like Pakistan, Lossi, Dubai. Eventually, things got messed up. He couldn't find his way. Then, as usual, the predictor captured him. When I mean predictor, people like us, Nigerians, took advantage of woman with drug law in Singapore. I'm sure if they don't follow, I don't know the name of the guy, but Biamabela or wife Milala. It talks, that's why I say the social media is full of different things. If you come on this platform, don't expect me to be telling you Nigeria will be great. Could live a great in Nigeria. So I watched the video. I think I might still find it on my timeline, as I'm winding down. So eventually the young boy didn't know that the criminal, the same Igbo brother to meet in Pakistan, was pushing him to something that he didn't know. Only Kokobamu African Arabs. Any diaspora. As I'm trying to find out the name of the YouTube, in case you want to go and watch it. The most heartbreaking story ever. The guy name is True Crime Daniel. The YouTube channel is called True Crime Daniel. He has a good followership, 569. Don't expect him to talk about Yoruba Nation, because in Tonso is crime. He's not talking about anything more than crime. True Crime Daniel, exploring some of the most known and unknown criminal cases, murder mystery. That is what he talks about. Don't expect him to talk about Biafra if he doesn't want to talk about it. I think he's a Yoruba guy. But Itimo Wolano, he was talking about this young guy from Abia State that end up taking drugs on behalf of somebody, but he didn't realize it was a drug because the man African Arabs. But what the judge says, he's been killed. He was hanged to death in 2007. Be careful. You want on woman to be very, very careful. He was 18 years old. One, okay, for the fact that Eniko money pa drugs, but money was involved. One of my phone $2,000. You will not. Abi, until should so fine here. I find low. Am I down alone to the Yoruba Nation? And that's the lies they've told you. It was hanged to death. Hello video, I don't have to play it on this platform. If you have the time, go there. I've given you the name. I can share the link with you if you want to go and watch it. Go and watch it. He was hanged to death. Walk pani in Singapore. So bá ti gbé cocaine, ó máa pa ẹ́ kò sọ̀rọ̀. Ó fi pé wọ́n ti pe Jésù láti fi bẹ Jésù pé kó jọ kó ṣàánú ọ̀pá ni. Ẹni tó gbé drug yẹn fún láti Pakistan, ìyẹn wọ́n tẹ̀rí yẹn mọ́, but ẹni tó fi wá pàdé, just to give you the quick summary in 1 minute, he got to Singapore quite all right, but there was a delay. Ẹni tó ń bọ̀ wá pàdé ẹ̀ tó fi wá gba drug yẹn lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀. There was a 12 hours delay. Hotel tí ó lọ tonical space. Ibẹ̀ làwọn tí wà suspicious pé ẹni tó ń jókòó ṣe connecting flight ló fi mú ni, irú flight wo ló fi mú for 12 hours. He was eventually ó wá end up sọ pé àwọn ní room but káwọn tó gbé room fún ọ̀sìn pọ̀lọ́pàá àwọn dẹ̀ sọ pé innocently òun mọ̀ pé drug ni òun tó ń bọ́ ọlọ́pàá sọ̀rọ̀ pé African herbs ni. And I saw another video where Maggi ìṣẹ̀rẹ́ ìtẹ̀wà ní abroad ó gbọ́dọ̀ jẹ́ family family gan ṣe trust mọ́ báyìí ṣá. I will just say be very careful. Igbo or rappers in Maggi. I don't know, maybe you have seen the video, but I saw the video. Don't take anything for anybody. Please. Àwọn tó wà ní desperate gan. Anyway, nígbà tó bá ṣẹlẹ̀ tán nísìn náà lè máa rojọ́ kan fún àwa nísìn. Ẹni tó jẹ́ ṣeré ló máa gba oríṣiríṣi problem tó kàn mí lè máa ń gbé wá síwájú mi. Àdẹ̀dúpẹ́ pé ìta bá lè yanjú. Because nígbà bá ti exchange gbogbo oríṣiríṣi ọ̀dọ̀ wa lè máa kó kéèsì wá bá. Be very careful. Wọ́n ta Maggi ní UK o. Wọ́n ta aṣọ ní UK o. Kò sí nǹkan tó fi rà. Jẹ́ káwọn gbé wá fúnra wọn. Tó bá tètè rà nínú UK tó bá bá igbó níbẹ̀ wàá mọ̀ pé ìwọ kọ́ ló gbé wá. There is no Mr. Fab ẹ fún mi lórúkọ. There is no stupidity for excuse o. Mọ̀ yan ọ̀dà Nàìjíríà lẹ ti máa fọ lọ́nbẹ wọ́n fẹ́ lọ́nbẹ yan nílùú òyìnbó. Crime is crime. Kò sí pé crime kan kéré o. You will be sentenced for your crime. Be very careful. If you live in Nigeria, which I want you to, do background check. Olórí burúkú làwọn agents tó ń ṣe visa fún yín o. I'm sorry to say that. Not all of them. But majority of them. They don't care. Walk off owó yẹn kọ́ push yín dànù. How can somebody tell you get to Pakistan, you now get a train to Dubai? Ignorant has nothing to do with the law. Eshegoni, Egbomi. Ignorant has nothing to do with the law. Ìlú òyìnbó lófin o. Nàìjíríà gan tó lófin gan everybody ń dì pẹ̀lú àwọn èèyàn. If you're traveling out of the country, which I want you to, go and explore. Japa. Let Lagos continue to mourn about doctors that are Japa. Problem to one here. But don't be stupid. Don't get, magic come on. This is not the time. Can you come and say, to buy something you come on if any visa run you? All that is just this our own mentality as Africans. Ìlú òyìnbó lèèyàn máa sọ fún ẹ pé ìjọ tó máa bí máa sọ fún ẹ because they don't see it as anything. Ẹni tó fẹ́ bímọ nílùú òyìnbó á sọ fún ẹ pé ìjọ báyìí ló máa bí. Nigerians they dare not tell you. Ajẹ́kẹ̀ wá dùnyún mọ́ wọn nínú. That is our thinking. That is our thought. So I'm pleading with many of you that are traveling out of Nigeria at this very difficult time. Know the agent. Get confirmation. And you know, lọ Google. And lọ YouTube. Okay, somebody wants to send you to another country. Go on the YouTube. Watch video. Do a background check. Confide in somebody. Tell somebody because you can end up. Do you know how many people have died because of this ignorance? I don't have money to give you. I don't do visa. But if you get to this country, I will tell you how and step to take. That is not for social media consumption. I will tell you if you reach out to me. You don't pay me for that. It's free. And whatever I cannot do, I will tell you that I can't. But be very, very careful. People are desperate. They don't care wherever it is. Maggi was wrapped. It's not Maggi. Igbo lower nibe. And somebody will take that to UK. And then you get stopped randomly. You can be pulled out at Heathrow. Or you open that bag. The first thing they will ask you, did you pack your bag yourself? Do you know why they're asking you that? Because they want to confirm we were going to pack it. To bani we going to pack it is another problem. Did you pack this luggage yourself? As long as you said yes, then you have obliged to say that èmi ni mo pàkẹ́ gbogbo tẹ́ bá bá níbẹ̀ èmi ni. And imagine ìwọ kàn báyàn kan mú magí bọ̀ tó mọ̀ pé igbó ló gbé sínú ẹ̀ ọmọ ẹ sáré àdúrà yẹn o ẹ náwó ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ mo mọ̀ bí ó máa wọ́kọ̀. Be very careful. We are living in a very, very difficult time according to the New York Times. Nigeria confronts its worst economic crisis. People will be tempted to push their luck. Ẹ̀gbọ́n mi bá mi sáré gbé kíní ìdánwò kíní wọ́n bẹ́ẹ̀ gbé ṣé kíní tí mo fẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ gbé lọ. Àbúrò yín ni o. Please, don't be stupid. Kí ló tó ń sọ lálẹ́ yìí? Ọ̀dà mo ti gbọ́. Ẹ jẹ́ kí àwọn tẹ̀mí ká tó máa lọ. Because I have 9 minutes. Mo lè fẹ́ kí gbogbo yín dáadáa. Bóhùn ẹ̀ kò gbọ́, bóhùn ẹ̀ kò máa gbọ́. Problem ti ẹ̀ nìyẹn. Báwọn tó máa gbọ́, therapy ni ó ti yé wọn. Be very, very careful. Oore tí yàn bá lè ṣe. Ẹ jẹ́ kó bínú. Máa fi 15 years gbàwé. Wà wá gbé kọ̀ fún máa gbá etí ẹ̀. O máa long tó take me ti fi gbàwé yẹn ni. Àwọn tó bí síbí báyìí gan gbọ́dọ̀ gbé nǹkan fún anybody anyhow. Gbogbo yín lẹ mọ̀ bẹ́ ṣe gbàwé yín. Ẹ má jẹ́ káwọn wèrè kan tó wà Nàìjíríà àwọn bomb bastard kan tó mọ̀ bí tó ń lọ. Ẹ má kọ́ jẹ́ kó gbàwé lọ́wọ́ yín o. Ó lọ ṣẹ̀wọ̀n nìyẹn o. Máa sọ pé stupid ni mo sọ. Ó ń lọ ṣẹ̀wọ̀n nìyẹn. Kò sáré gbọ́n Ghana ń ṣẹ̀wọ̀n 71 80 ọkọ̀ ni. Àwọn wà ní bẹ́ẹ̀ má ṣe ń ṣẹ̀wọ̀n lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́. Ẹ má jẹ́ káwọn wèrè kan tó yẹ pé wọ́n Nigeria economy ti wà ní ibi tó yẹ pé wọ́n máa fi tí wọ́n fẹ́ fi kó bára wọn ẹrù pọ̀ mọ́ àbí wàá lè máa ń sọ ẹ mọ́wọ́ Jésù dání o. Ìyẹn kan bá ní kẹ́ máa ṣàdúrà ẹ sọ pé ẹ máa ṣàdúrà o. Don't let anybody fool you, especially àwọn tá ti ṣe wàhálà láti gbàwé. Jẹ́ káwọn bomb bastard kan tó wà Nàìjíríà tó yẹ pé wọ́n ní understanding kankan. Ìmọ̀ ẹgbẹ́ magi tó ti ráàpù gbogbo ẹ̀ chokomilo. Má gba chokomilo ẹni bá fẹ́ ra chokomilo ẹni kò wọnú stock ló ra chokomilo ẹ̀. Don't bring anything for anybody. Gbogbo ẹ̀ ló ń tà ní Peckham ló ń tà ní Dustin ló ń tà káàkiri. Bó bá wọn ẹ̀ kò gbọ́ bó wọn ẹ̀ kò má gbọ́. Problem ti yín nìyẹn. Mo kí Mr. Emiola Oluwaseun. Thank you so much for joining us. Mr. Larry Jinadu. Mr. Jimoh Waheed mo kí yín. Gbogbo ẹni tí bá kí ní sàwọn tí mo rí lórí ètò nìyẹn tí bá ti rí comment yẹn á jẹ́ pé you just remain silent. There's nothing wrong in that. Gbogbo ẹni silent watchers. Ìyá mi Sarah Oyèlọ́wọ̀ mo kí wọ́n ní a kú ọdún. Ààrẹ ni fún mi lówó ọdún. Ẹ fún wa lẹ́ran ọdún. Àmọ́ tó ṣẹlẹ̀. Owó ọdún rẹ̀ ẹ̀gbọ́n mi Fab mo retí owó ọdún mi ní tọ́ńbẹ́ o. Ẹ fún wa lówó ọdún. Mr. Matthew Sunki Ọlásùnkànmí mo fi tẹlẹ́dùmarè kí yín. Ìdòwú Matthew my brother shout out to you. Mo kí ìyá mi Sarah Oyèlọ́wọ̀ lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí. Mr. Kehinde Adéyẹmí ẹ ṣé gan ni. Mo kí ìyá mi Sarah wọ́n ní Mr. Koiki I salute you. Ọlọ́run ní ká dúpẹ́ fún tó fún wa lẹ́mìí gbogbo àtàláfíà tó dẹ̀ fún wa ní ọgbọ́n àtòyè tá fi ń ṣe tá fi ń gbé kalẹ̀. Yẹkini Mustapha gbogbo òkè ogun mo kí ẹ báńkì Sheikh ṣọ́ ti padà sí London àbọ̀ṣe wà nílé báńkì wọn dá. Mr. Ọládùnní Ezekiel tí bá dẹ̀ ń sọ pé zoo ní Nàìjíríà èyí tẹ́ máa wá ń bá mi jà yẹn zoo gangan nìwọ náà bí i Nàìjíríà kì í ṣe zoo ni. Ẹ ṣé gan ni bẹ́ẹ̀ ni Mr. bàbá mi Adéyẹmí ẹ ṣé gan ni. Wọ́n ní Koiki September 18, 1851 ni wọ́n dá New York Times. Àwọn èèyàn mọ̀ nípa Amẹ́ríkà dáadáa. Gbogbo ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ń gbé labroad. Wọ́n ní yìnbọn fọ́mọ wa o. Ọmọ wa ò ní sọnù. Ọmọ ń sọnù nílùú òyìnbó. Ọmọ wa ò ní sọnù. Àwọn ọmọ tán fi wọ́n ṣe o. Mo ní sọ jù bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ. The world is changing rapidly. Ẹ jẹ́ ká mú àdúrà dání dáadáa. Mo ń bá wa kẹ́yìn tẹ́ wà lórí YouTube. Ẹ jẹ́ kí àwọn tó wà lórí Facebook náà. Anjorin Noah mo kí ẹ. Akim Ayọ̀délé mo kí yín. Mr. Akim again Olúwadámiláre wọ́n lè máa wà lórí ètò. Allen Conde èèyàn tèmi ní gbogbo China. Ṣé máa ṣe wà China by BRICS gbogbo ẹ̀? A máa sọ yẹn lọ́la lágbára Ọlọ́run. Mo kí ìyá mi Sarah. Ajani Àjàlá gbogbo Libya mo kí ẹ. Báńkì gbogbo àwọn ti Libya náà. So ẹ jẹ́ ká wá sórí YouTube ká kí ẹ̀yin tẹ́ wà lórí YouTube pẹ̀lú wa látàárọ̀. Torí tí a bá jókòó síbi tẹ́ ẹ bá bá wa darapọ̀ Olúwa kó máa bá AI sọ̀rọ̀ ni. Àrólé Odùduwà ẹ̀gbọ́n mi dáadáa oníwàhálà ṣàlàfíà lẹ́wà ọlọ́run bá ń wà pẹ̀lú gbogbo wa o ṣe jẹ́ ń kẹ́yìn tẹ́wà lórí àrólé Odùduwà Mọ̀kẹ́ Akínwùmí Fákólójó ṣé mo gba orúkọ yẹn sí gbajàgà báyìí má bínú sí mi ẹ̀ pé Yorùbá mi gẹ́tà síbi nígbà mi báyìí kọ́ náà kó ṣàánú gbogbo náà la ṣe máa padà lọ sí ilé ẹ̀kọ́ láti lọ kọ́ Yorùbá. Nigeria is a pure zoological republic, there is no doubt about it. Silver Badmus èèyàn tèmi mo kí ẹ. Just Reason, my brother, mo kí African Confidential. Easy Aziz Gbadesere gbogbo Miami mo kí ẹ. Mo kí Aziz gbogbo America náà, Aziz pọ̀ rẹpẹtẹ. Daniel Adéyẹmí mo kí ìyá kan yan aṣọ jágbajàgba kémi wá sílé kí wọ́n á lead mo gbáwèrè dànù kúrò lórí program mi dáàdi yẹn nìkẹ́ lọ́mọ wa kó wá lead mo ń bọ̀ lálọ́ tó wà ń bẹ̀. Ẹ̀gbọ́n mi David Adégòkè mo Pride Leo Nettech Electrical, all the Biafrans in the program. I know some of you struggle to speak and understand my language. Mr. Rotimi Ogundipe, Frank Dudu gbogbo Dublin mo kí yín. There was something I posted and it's gone in circulation. I'll try and treat it tomorrow. Ogun Obai is like an article. Hopefully, along for any time, I can read it out tomorrow. Koda CSI, not to send it, but see me. I'm sure most of you have seen it. We'll look into it tomorrow, God's willing, inshallah. You can support us, donate to good journalism. Many independent media depend on you. Even as we saw, New York Times asked the same thing. It's very easy. If you are not too sure how to support us, you can reach out to me. Mr. Rotimi Ogundipe Moki, Tosin Agun Moki, Amusa Ismaila Moki gbogbo Muslim Telosis Saudi Olabami showing pada inshallah la barolo. Yami mo follow Shegoni. Thank you so much. Our people are out of hearing, they prefer to be begging. Ben could keep government must some salary from at least benefit for everybody. Bishop Adeshino, Obigede Kola Eshegoni, and then Marshall. Then those of you on the backup YouTube channel, let me quickly appreciate you as well, because it's like almost 3 hours. We're just 3 minutes to the end of the program. We'll go into our Instagram. Keke Okus, thank you so much. Mr. Labia Kim, Mukaila Adeoye, Olamile Konzobo. We'll follow the platform, even though I don't comment, but I'm always live in some of those. Because if I have to comment, then it's like sometimes I distract, the presenter. So I tend not to. I just remain quiet, but I do share. Eric with about also the Facebook page. I don't joke with all our medias. I share all their programs. Safety Domain, thank you so much. Mr. Bayomi Elijah, thank you so much. Uga Money, in your phone low, baby Gabaro, Magbalo, Walai. Yeah, Baba Mebeniza, I want to thank you for doing this. I want to go back home after 21 years. Because Senator of Eloli Walai, Bugbe Grandma, Bakapata, Tisububumo. Everybody wants to go back home. But it's just not. Especially Antobati Dagba in their 70s. You need round-the-clock medical support. Nigeria doesn't have that. Another 20, 30 years below Nigeria. Let's be very careful. Lagos State is complaining about there's a break in cholera or something like that in Nigeria right now. A diaspora died from Canada, and I'm not making this up. Also really in the KG. One knew what it was, Lagos was already in cholera, so be careful with the water, your hygiene. The batty way for sure we miscast in Nigeria, but no matter what, a rubber one for Eshima will be the power in COVID. Hygiene is very, very important. Moki Mr. Tunda Shegoni. Baba mi Benjamin Adumati Moki Yami Fagbe Meleke. Gbogbo ẹni tẹ́tí sùn náà tẹ́ máa rí program yẹn pa Koiki dẹ̀ ṣe live mo dẹ̀ ti sùn. My name is Fakulojo. It means Ifá kọ ìlújọ. Ẹ má yẹ kí n máa masaka gbogbo ẹ̀. Ẹ já yẹ kí n pè ní bàbá mi Akínwùmí. Ṣé gọ́dẹ̀? Èdè yẹn a máa kọ padà ẹ má bínú. Black Paul, Eleni, can I also join your show, your artwork, please? You know what I mean by that, I understand. So I think that's about it. Chukwuwa Aomo Biafra Mokinda, Peter Pan is a subscriber to the platform. Clement as well, and the rest of those quiet listeners from the Biafra. And if you're one of those that say, Koiki, shut up, Yoruba nation, ẹ fẹ́ ká kàn máa sọ̀rọ̀ tó bá dàbí wà tẹ́ pé à ń dẹnu, Ọlọ́run ló ní Yoruba nation, àwa alákàn drive ẹ̀ lẹ́yìn, but Ọlọ́run gangan ni the main vehicle ló ń ti bàbá Akíntóyè àti Ìgbòho, kò dẹ̀ sí nǹkan tẹ́ máa ṣe sí, Ọlọ́run ló ní ìrìn àjò yẹn. Ẹ̀yin tẹ́ wà lórí Instagram, I might not come back, so I say good night from you and the rest of you. Iṣẹ́ wa fúnlẹ̀ wá, forílẹ̀ ibi wá, kàgbéga, kàgbéga, kàgbéga falẹ̀rí. Ìgbàgbọ́ wa ni pé bàtí bẹ̀rù làbọ̀ mọ́, ká ṣiṣẹ́, ká ṣiṣẹ́, ká ṣiṣẹ́, ká jọlá. Ìṣọ̀kan àtòmìnira ní kẹ́ jẹ́ ká máa lépa. Tẹ̀síwájú, tẹ̀síwájú, ó ti há báyìí. Let me read it again. Iṣẹ́ wa fúnlẹ̀ wá, forílẹ̀ ibi wá, kàgbéga, kàgbéga falẹ̀rí. Ìgbàgbọ́ wa ni pé bàtí bẹ̀rù làbọ̀ mọ́, ká ṣiṣẹ́, ká ṣiṣẹ́, ká ṣiṣẹ́, ká jọlá. Ìṣọ̀kan àtòmìnira ní kẹ́ jẹ́ ká máa lépa. Ìtẹ̀síwájú fọ́pọ̀ ire àtòhun tó dára. Ọmọ Oòduà dìde, bọ́ sípò ẹ̀tọ́ rẹ. Ìwọ ni ìmọ́lẹ̀ ògo adúláwọ̀. Ẹ̀yin náà lọ́kọ̀. It's very easy. Thank you so much, Godwin Ayola Shegoni, all the way in America. Ẹ̀yin wà lọ́wọ́ 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think about almost 9 o'clock now in America, depending on the time zone. I'm about reporting probably about 7 o'clock. Around the world, my name remains OLAYOMI KOIKI, a self-determination campaigner under Professor Banji Akintoye. Any other thing else? 9:48, yes, almost to 10. So good night on the other side. And we look forward to the election in America. It's going to be a tough one. We see how it goes. I don't pray that World War III, but somebody say, Koiki, Yeki World War III, it will bring another new territories and Yoruba will be free. We see how that goes. Shout out to my wives, my children, and every lover of freedom, regardless of wherever you are around the world. Plus. Thank you so much, Mr. Special Sheriff. Shout out to those of you on the